quit me, which, look, that could happen at any moment, and nobody would blame her if she walked away from this mess. But it's great to see you guys this morning. Thank you, Taurus, for all those likes. Peepaw is here. Peepaw is ready to go. Peepaw had a weird sleep and a weird night, and it's good to see you, Maynard. Good morning. Eli, good morning, soy boy. Eli, it's nice to connect on Twitter, by the way, Eli. I like that. For those of you who I don't get to interact with, who aren't in the Discord, which, in all fairness, it's been tough in the Discord. I've been very, very busy, so I haven't been in there. But it's nice to connect with some of you guys on Twitter. While you're here, if you're on Twitter, look, and I know a lot of you are boycotting Twitter, and you should, if that's how you feel. I think it's a place where we can have a lot of political discussion. Excuse me. Sometimes share content. It's not my favorite app, but if you guys are on there doing the Lord's work, going after those MAGA morons, it would be nice to connect with you. Good morning. Nunya GD, marry me. DM me. I need to know what you're providing. I need to know what you bring to this relationship. We can talk about it. Sorry for the sniffing. I didn't put in my Afrin. I'm going to snort Afrin here for a second. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but get rid of the allergy stuff. Give me 1 sec. Oh, that's much better. Don't show that. I don't know what these are. Just as a reminder, what is today? Today is February 20th. Happy February 20th to all of you. If that's a big day for you, congratulations. I hope it's a wonderful day. We have 9 more days of CoinCot, which we're participating in. Some of my favorite creators, one of my top 3 favorite creators, Mr. Jones, is one of the people that started CoinCot. So if any of you aren't familiar with it, CoinCot, let's just, I guess we'll put it this way. There are a lot of people who get silenced on, not silenced, but get banned or get their lives taken down or have their content removed on TikTok. But what we did see and what we continue to see is that BIPOC creators seem to get that a lot more than others. And frankly, I don't like that TikTok is silencing certain types of speech. I think it's silly, some of the words that you can and cannot say. Obviously, the AI moderation doesn't work sometimes. I do believe TikTok is better. But hopefully, you guys are also still participating in CoinCot. TikTok gets part of the gifts that are given. And so it is a shot to their bottom line when we don't give those gifts. That being said, those creators that you follow, those creators that you know could rely on gifts, not a bad idea if you can. Most of them will have some sort of Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Not a bad idea if you're able to support them. Obviously, we have the same thing here. There's the Venmo and the Cash App, and we'll read any comments that you guys have added with those. This is my least favorite part. I, for a long time, didn't want to do this. And I now recognize that it's just part of it. If you're going to do content full-time, you sometimes have to ask for help. And I appreciate all the support that Felice and I have been given. Felice will be here shortly, I assume. She's usually not right on time because she makes a bunch of content. She just sent out some content like... Oh, yeah, she said she needed 2 more minutes. She'll be here shortly. She was just finishing up some content. How are you guys, though? How are you this morning? I went to Jones's live. He wasn't... he'd shut down early. He didn't even tell me that he was going to shut down early. So I've been bouncing around a bunch of lives this morning. It's been a long time since I've even looked at the lives in the morning outside of Jones's. Sometimes I'm in Ivory's. I haven't been to T's for a while just because he wasn't participating in CoinCot. And look, that's his decision. I had no beef with T, but I just tried to mostly be in spaces that are participating in CoinCot. I went to Mod's live for a minute, but then my eardrums blew out, so I couldn't come back for that. Yeah, look, that MAGA granny, her name is Pamela. I've reached out to her to have her come on and have a discussion. Zeus had her on this morning. Yeah, oh, good point, Jen. Check out our YouTube, by the way. If you follow us, We post the replays every day on YouTube as well as additional content. Jen even made a really, really funny video the other day that she threw up. No, I did not. Mod is not participating in CoinCot, and that was just scrolling through. I was joking about the Mod thing. I was not there long. I was not on with Mod today. Is Mod participating in CoinCot? That's a funny question. No, those people would never do something that supports BIPOC creators. They would never do that. That group of people. Not to say that like they don't like. I'm not making an accusation. I'm just saying that there's no way that group of people is going to participate in CoinCot. Good morning and happy Tuesday to you as well. What's on your guys' mind this morning? Oh, the goat. Blake's so baked. That is a great name. Whoa, look at that. Genius and superstar. Congratulations. Bike, how are you, my friend? Sorry I gave you away. Beth, Kelsey, good morning. Happy Tupac Tuesday from Z-Pack. Thank you, Z-Pack. Did your voice ever recover? Are you still doing the Trump thing? I can't take you back. It's not possible. But you can come to me. Morning, JSN. Oh, thank you, librarian. I do need to read... Oh, there's Felice. I do need to read a couple of comments from last night. For those of you who missed it, I did go live last night, and I didn't tell anybody. But I'm going to do that. It makes Jen mad. It makes other people mad, and I kind of enjoy that. I probably can't hear Felice. Let me switch this.
Can you hear me?
One sec.
Good morning, sunshine.
All right, try now, Felice.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
You look lovely.
I'm going to try just having this cat on my lap.
Yes!
Well, otherwise he's going to be screaming outside the door. I do not know if this will work, but we will.
That's all right.
He's losing his mind this morning. This is what happens when you...
I don't know if mine is popping a little bit. I got a little bit of a pop. Let me... This is
You
so
can hear
stupid.
it? Yeah, I can never hear... If it's... Let's see. Just be quiet, kitty.
What'd you say, Felice?
We're going to learn so much today. It's going to be amazing.
I was going over the outline. It's a learning day. Real quick, let me finish the story. So last night I went live. You will see that from time to time. Felice and I have talked about it. One thing that I think is difficult in trying to pull up opposition is I think that there's two people here and two people that are educated, and we're covering stories most of the day. What we don't want is a bunch of dead air. So we're just going to cover stories unless there's opposition. But every once in a while, maybe once or twice a week, I'm going to show up just randomly at nights. And it's going to be completely dependent on my mood. If I'm in a good mood and have energy, I'll go. But I needed to read some comments from last night. Michael last night sent a donation and said, "Where is the real host?" So, Felice, even when you're not here.
Thank you, Michael.
People demand it. Chelsea said... Because you look hot, that's very sweet.
Okay.
I was actually sweaty last night. I had left my heater
actually hot. Okay.
I think that's what she's saying. Yeah, I think so. Jennifer said, "BITCH walking SK." That was the guest we had on at the end. And then where did that go? And then Amber this morning has sent a message saying, "Thanks for standing up for my aunt." Jeannie and me and all women. Oh, thank you, Amber.
Aww.
And Chelsea again this morning. Shooting my shot with Felice. I'll be a great stepmom to your cat.
Oh, awesome. I am here for that. Trust me, this is a full-time job.
Chelsea is just like shooting her shot all around. And then there was one other
made Jay jealous, Chelsea. That's the
right.
first step.
Matt last night said, "So glad to see you tonight, just missing Felice." And Amber last night said, "For girl, you sound so stupid." And I'm assuming that was...
So who did you... Was that for David? What?
No, it was David first, and then it's a couple. It's like SK something. It was this girl and her husband, and then he went to bed. Oh, God,
I hate that when there's like someone in the background like telling
they were good.
People...
They were fine. Cool. Yeah, okay, they were like...
I trust your judgment.
They're deep in MAGA. Like, deep. Well, yeah. She was very upset that I called her QAnon. She didn't like that. But
Why? Own who you are.
Yeah, she was just like, she's like, I've never heard of QAnon. I was like, all right, but everything you're saying is like, at one point she said they removed Trump's Q level clearance. It's like, that's only QAnon says that. So
the fact that, man, I mean, that's something we don't even talk about, but just the fact that this man can get a security clearance and like, we're going to, you know what I mean? This is a man who has, already stolen a bunch of classified documents. Again, not in trouble for that, in trouble for not giving them back. But we're like, hey, let's go ahead and give him access to all the secrets and documents again. And hopefully he'll do the right thing this time. Right?
Well, that was the interesting thing. We went through the... a lot of people didn't think she was smart, and I actually got some pushback because I said she was smart. The thing, the people didn't like that, but she was educated, but on like the craziest things, like only the crazy things. Like she had read like Missouri v. Biden, which I wound up reading later, and like all these.
Yeah, but that's bull. Oh yeah, don't even get me in. Are you talking about the case about the First Amendment?
Yeah,
all those red states. Oh my God, don't even get me started on that.
But then when I was like, all right, well, what's Trump running on? What's Agenda 47? She's like, I've never heard of that. And I was like, do you know any policies he's running? And she's like, no. I was like, do you not see how, like, for us...
Someone said you were hitting on her, be honest.
No. Well, listen, there's a difference. I don't want to say that.
You are attracted to people deep into cults. That's
true.
That's where you were born. You know what I mean? It's like you do what is familiar.
Yeah, those are the people I'm used to talk to. Melissa sent a message and a donation said this is for cat treats. So
Yay,
I assume
kitty,
that's for the
you're
cat.
Look, kitty. Look, this is like an ASPCA commercial. He just needs a few cat treats.
It kind of sucks. Like, usually when it's just you and I'm the second most popular person on the stream. Now I'm third. If Jen shows up, I'm going to be
I'm
fourth.
second now. I think we've both moved down on the stack rank. But I have something. I'm so excited. Like, we're going to go. I found the best article last night, and I think everyone needs to. Hold on. Let me open my outline on my computer really quick because I have Mondays open still. Let me get the name of it. Oh my gosh. Like sometimes, when you read like Substack article, I mean, there's some amazing Substack articles or like public notice and you just find someone who you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yesterday was my first venture onto Substack to read Matt Taibbi's goddamn awful
Well, you can tell me. By the way, I did not get to read that. I had so much to read last night. So if you want to talk about that, I can learn about that. Continue reading. Okay, let's all go.
It's so unsubstantial. Like, we'll just say this. I don't want to cover it.
Let me give everyone the name of the article so they can start pulling it up, and then while you tell the story, because it's gonna, public notice articles. So number 18 on the outline, it is called. Let me see what it's actually called. I don't know this link.
And Goron Trump.
It's called "We Are All Victims of Trump's Fraud. Stealing a little bit from everyone is still stealing" by a woman named Liz Dye. So.
Okay, so
is
pull that up.
Can they Google that? Can they just Google a public notice? Will it pull up?
Yeah, it's pub.
Yeah, we are all victims of Trump's fraud, and it's written by Liz Liz Dye Dye. So let's pull that up because this is going to change our lives, people. Anyways, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, in the chat, let me know if I'm popping. I've got some feedback in my headphones, but I don't know if it's popping for you guys as well. If I am, I'll do my best to fix that. So I went to Substack yesterday. The girl that SK last night, she kind of mentioned it. That's why it was perfect timing to get the QAnon, because I had just read Matt Taibbi's Substack. Matt Taibbi was a respected journalist. He has this weird thing now where he went to Twitter. He basically was given only the files that made Twitter look bad.
And his father was a famous journalist, right? Isn't that what...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, he is like a legacy in journalism. You know what I mean? Like, he had like this huge legacy to uphold, and basically with the Twitter files, like, shit the bed of journalism.
Well, what he did is he took one really biased source and limited information and made a conclusion about it. Well, it may not surprise you that he's doing the same thing now. So the story now is that basically Crossfire Hurricane was an illegitimate operation to spy on President Trump's campaign. And
tell us, remind everyone what Crossfire Hurricane is.
I'm getting there. Crossfire Hurricane was basically just like the opening of the Mueller investigation. That's basically what it was.
Here
where they
we
were
go.
going. So there was a list of 26 people that were targeted. This is according to his reporting, by the way. We don't even know if this is true, but were targeted for bumps by the Big Five, or the Five Eyes, I think they're called, which is Canada, United States, England, Australia, and New Zealand. And basically they work together. And a bump is where they will create an interaction with somebody so that they can start to spy on them. That's what a bump is. So this reporting by Matt Taibbi that all of this happened is based on the word of one person. There's no evidence that this did happen, but there's supposedly a binder that Trump declassified on January 19th, and you can see there was a declassification from Donald Trump on January 19th. But now what they're trying to do is they're trying to spin. There's two ways they're spinning this. There's one way, which Matt Taibbi is going, saying that the Department of Justice was weaponized against Trump, and then you have like the Trump folks who are coming out and saying like this is why they had the Mar-a-Lago raid. And that's when you guys were listening to SK last night, that's what she was trying to get at. She was saying that like the basis of this is that Trump declassified this orange binder and then he had it at Mar-a-Lago, and it's so damning that they want it back. It doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. You can read the redacted document, and the redacted document basically is just like taking out specific attorneys' names. Like you can read all of this stuff. But Matt Taibbi now is not only is he doing this bizarre like ultra QAnon journalism, he's not sourcing it like he used to. He's not giving credible sources. He's on Substack, and he's in a very public fight now with Elon Musk, where he released screenshots of text between him and Elon. He's like, am I being shadow banned? And Elon's like, well, yeah, we're shadow banning anybody that like is posting Substack links, because Elon believes Substack is taking their users, that they did something illegal to take their users. And Matt Taibbi's response is, I've refused to say anything bad about you in the public. I can't believe you're doing this to me. Like just kissing the ring of Elon Musk. And it's just sad. Like, to me, it's sad that Matt Taibbi, who was considered a real journalist, apparently his legacy is now just openly putting out one source material full of conspiracy theories. I don't know. And by the way, this is not a number on the outline. This is just me talking. But Felice, now you can you'll go into that. Was just me telling you that I read Substack. That was a long story.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Matt Taibbi, I don't know what's happened to him. That's just a shame. It really is a shame, because he was a good journalist. If you want to see it, like, it happened not just him, to a bunch of people. Like, I would cite, you remember when Bill Maher was saying, like, during George W. Bush's presidency? Like, Bill Maher was a sane person. Well, around then, he was he's much different now. And Matt Taibbi used to be on Bill Maher's show all the time. That's how I became familiar with him. Like, they were sane people and who criticized George W. Bush and then went off the deep end. And look at them now. Like, what?
Well, I think Matt Taibbi was just
the
on his show
Overton
again.
window. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He still goes on. I'm just saying, like, their minds have, like, they both just went.
It's weird. I don't have that reference point for a couple reasons. One, we didn't have cable growing up, and two,
I didn't either. I had to watch at friends' houses, but we were evangelicals. The devil is in cable. As we know, we cannot watch cable.
Like, that was the worst thing.
We had like 5 channels.
None of my parents would have watched or friends' parents would have watched Bill Maher. He was just left leaning. He might as well have been Satan himself. Nobody in my life watched Bill Maher. So I have no real reference point of Bill Maher pre-2017 probably.
Oh, he used to be a completely different person who like dedicated his life to like ruining George W. Bush's life. Like, it was great. It was amazing. And like, he got kicked off wherever Bill Maher was. He was on a major network and he basically was banned from like major networks for being too honest, like saying too much. And that's why I liked him. Like he was kind of like a little bit of a maverick. Was it ABC, Ben? Thank you if it is ABC. But yeah, he was definitely on like a major network, and they're like, you're saying too much. And then he went to HBO and was great, and now he went off the deep end. So pray for Bill and Matt. Hopefully,
you know what it feels like to me with Bill Maher is that he's just desperate to be like Mr. Middle Ground. That's how it feels.
Well, now, yeah, like
yeah. But when you bring on Ted Cruz, when you bring on
Trump's orange binder,
yeah. When you bring on people like Ted Cruz, if you try and meet Ted Cruz in the middle, you're just a generic Republican. He's so far right. Like that's the problem I think people probably have with Bill Maher is I don't think he's first of all, I don't think he's well informed. I think he's really poorly informed.
I'm just telling you, he used to be like when Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, remember these people in the George W. Bush administration? They were arms dealers. I mean, America, we're always arms dealers, but like there are pictures of Donald Rumsfeld like in Iraq, like in a back alley, like selling. Like these people were not normal people. Like
I'm so sad I missed all of that. I need to go relive that all.
Oh my God, it was insane. And Bill Maher was like, is anyone seeing what's going on? That's why I liked him, because he was just like, oh, we're just like arms dealers, we're just arming both sides of conflicts now, like nobody's noticing that everyone is profiting off this. And that's why. And he's a lawyer, like he went to Cornell. He used to be a different person. That's all we need to know about Bill Maher. He was all these people. He's like a Nancy Mace. I was reading a good article last night about Nancy Mace, the three versions of Nancy Mace that we have seen since 2022, and I'm like, okay, I'm not imagining it. Other people know that Nancy Mace used to be another person.
Grammar hole F. Mary,
I love Grammar hole.
F. Mary Schkill, Roger Stone, Trump, and Mark Wayne Mullen.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have to have sex with Mark Wayne. I'm sorry, that was graphic. Sorry.
His is the only one that's gonna work.
But I do not like him. But he does talk about Matt Gaetz, so like you know what I mean. Like that is a redeeming quality. But definitely gonna have to do that with Mark Wayne. What's the other ones?
Trump and Roger Stone.
Oh God, no. I guess I'm marrying Roger Stone, who has like a Nixon. Nixon tramp stamp of all time. I guess that's my husband now. Like it's this is the best game ever.
Yeah,
Roger Stone is scary.
I'm the same way. Mark. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go. Can I convince Mark Wayne? That's the real question.
Great question, Grammar Hole. Thank you for making my stomach feels nauseous.
I think I just to play devil's advocate here, I think what I'm going to do, Trump, he's obviously gone because he's the most dangerous. I'm marrying Roger Stone because I don't think that marriage has too many years left in it.
You're into tramp stamps.
And listen, I love a good back tattoo.
Especially
if that back tattoo is aged like 50 years.
Yeah, it's like stretched out a little. Yeah, and it's just a little like murky. Like you can't really make out what it is anymore.
Sign me up. And and Mark Wayne, I guess he's getting a. Wait, did I say? I guess he's getting a one-nighter.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
the same thing.
That's what you got to do. There's not much choice. You know what I mean? You just got to do what you got to do. That's how this game works. Okay, we're all about to learn some great stuff. I need to look up one
While
thing.
you're pulling that up, Lindsay wants to know, is that cat Felice's familiar? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's my familiar for sure.
What does that mean?
That's like, you don't understand women. But you know how, like, throughout time, women have been called witches, you know? Like, women who have ideas or opinions or educate themselves in any way. Well, familiars are, like, an animal that is, like, bonded with... Like, Harry Potter, the kids have familiars. How do you not know that? A familiar is an animal that is, like, bonded with a witch or, like, a magical person, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if they ever called them familiars in Harry Potter. If they did, I'm actually embarrassed.
Yeah, it's just another. It's just another name for them. But that it's like your animal. You're like a magically bonded animal.
So when Harry produces his Patronus, that's his familiar.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. There we go. Just talk Harry Potter to me, and we're good.
Okay. First thing we need to know before we go over this. Do you know what Libor, like a Libor rate is? LIBOR, all caps. What does that stand for?
I don't know.
We need to know. Before, like, it's going to come in handy. Let's see. London Interbank Offered Rate. Okay, we'll just remember that. Now we're going to learn how Trump defrauded all of us, and it's going to be amazing. Because I'm so
Trumpies,
tired.
listen, please. Please listen.
Yes, MAGA, this is for you. You're going to learn. You're going to learn. Like, I'm so sick of the victimless crime narrative. I was like, I need to find the perfect article. Okay, so... Is lying on your loan application to get better terms a victimless offense? Donald Trump and his supporters claim it is, but in damning detail, Judge Arthur Engoron, and it's a 92-page verdict. It is quite long, but like I read about 35 pages of it last night. It's masterful. Like I don't think I realized quite, like, the math is mathing. Like, it's all laid out, and we can just take a look at it. So. Let's go to this. Trump and his sons are barred from serving as officers or directors of any New York corporation, right? And we played the clip yesterday where Eric was crying. My father built the skyline of New York City, and this is the thanks he gets. Okay, so
I started this skyline shit.
And if we scroll down, there's some, they put in here in the article, like, Trump's crazed rants about how it's a victimless crime. I'm not going to read through all them because they were so long, but quote, there were no victims and not one person testified there was any fraud. Trump went on adding that, quote, the actual bankers were involved in the loan transactions, testified, I was a highly sought after whale of a client with one of the strongest personal balance sheets they had ever seen. So I like how she put this. Debunking Donald Trump's lies is like trying to catch raindrops with your bare hands.
Mo can explain Libor and SOFR if we need to. So you let me know if we need to bring Mo on for that.
Okay, cool. It will come up. So this is right now what we're going to go over is the section. I'm on the section labeled the corporate victims. So the court found that Donald Trump and his sons, right, this has to do with most egregiously, let's just take this example. They claimed that Trump's condo in the Tower in Manhattan was 30,000 square feet instead of 10,996 square feet. A fudge, which increased increased his net worth by some 200 million, right? So,
did they say fudge? A fudge?
That's what she said. She's not swearing. For instance, Eric Trump testified that he had little understanding of the finances of the business he runs and is more of a, quote, construction guy. Remember when he
was laying the footings.
Exactly. He's the drywall guy. He didn't know what was what with the numbers. He also testified that he, quote, had no idea until this case came into fruition that SFCs even existed. In reality, he was responsible for Trump property known as Seven Springs, and he repeatedly vouched for the purpose of the SFCs, that it was worth $161 million, despite multiple appraisals valuing it between $5 and $21 million. Okay, so I want to make sure. So let's move down to how Trump's fraudulent business practices finally came back to bite him. So the commercial division of Deutsche Bank was offering non-recourse loans. So that is loans where the bank could take the mortgage property in case of default, but not Trump's other assets. Meanwhile, at the same bank, Deutsche Bank, the private wealth division was offering much better rates on full recourse loans, where Trump had to personally guarantee that the bank would get paid. So how much better? So this is directly from the verdict. In calculating the interest rate differentials for the perceived credit risks and without a personal guarantee on the Doral loan, McCarty took, this is the state's expert witness that was testifying to the actual amounts that Trump defrauded people for, that McCarty took the competing loan proposals. So there were two divisions in Deutsche Bank at the same time tracking the business they were doing with Trump. There was the regular commercial division, which you and I would apply for a loan in. And then there was the personal wealth management division, right? So that Deutsche Bank's commercial real estate group had offered, this is the Libor. What does that stand for again? It's London Interbank Offered Rate. The LIBOR rates, which stand for London Interbank Offered Rate, are benchmark interest rates for many adjustable rate mortgages, business loans, and financial instruments traded on global financial markets. So, I mean, is there more? Do you want a deeper explanation into that?
No, sorry. I'm trying to get this posted in the Discord.
Oh, never mind. Okay. And compared them to the term. So the point is, it's LIBOR plus 8% with a floor of LIBOR plus 2% or 10%. So let me just, and compared them to the terms with Deutsche's private wealth management division. So this is what the deal is. If he had gone through the commercial real estate division, it would have been the whatever the London Interbank Offered Rate was plus 8%, right? But right. In the private wealth management division, which like we're talking about interest rates not between 8 and 10%, it was between 1.8 and 4.1%.
Okay, and so let me make sure I have this clear. So the difference between these two divisions is, or these two types of loans, is one is a loan against the property itself. The one with the lower rate from the private equity is personally guaranteed by the person taking the loan.
Yeah, by their personal wealth. And so the interest rates are egregiously low, rates nobody else would ever get. And so all he had to do to get those sweet low rates was show that he was rich enough to be worth that risk. And that is what... Yeah, go ahead.
It's LIBOR, just so we're...
LIBOR, sorry, LIBOR. Was I saying LIBOR? LIBOR.
You were, but I didn't know either, but...
LIBOR, sorry. And that's where SFCs come in, because Trump would never have qualified, right? This is the point. He never would have qualified for those preferential rates if he had been honest about his wealth and the real value of his cash reserves. So this is we're talking about the Doral note, which was issued in 2011, and that's from the private wealth division. The ones that are giving extremely rich people low interest rates on loans, required him to maintain. So in order to get the 2011 Doral note, he had to maintain a net worth of $2.5 billion. Okay. Like, come on, not including his brand. So not including what Trump's like, the Trump brand is worth the same as Coca-Cola. Not including that actual wealth.
And that's important, because what people don't realize is post his bankruptcies in Atlantic City, it was really difficult for him to actually acquire properties. So there are many properties that just have his name on it, but he doesn't own it. It's a licensing agreement. That would be branding. So there is no value there, like, right? There's no, you can't use that as an asset.
They can't seize it from you.
Right.
So, yeah, like they can't, yeah. So we're talking about actual wealth assets that they could seize. So not including his brand. It also required him to submit annual SFCs attesting that he was still wealthy enough to be worth the risk. An ongoing fraud that required the Trump organization to spend an inordinate amount of time massaging, I like how she said that, the books to keep bankers happy. So they are now required not just once on these papers, but to continue making it look like he has assets, not including his brand, of $2.5 billion. So in 2020, the Doral loan was $125 million. Applying the non-recourse rate of 10% or 0.01 results in an interest payment of $12,500,000. Applying the recourse rate of 1.9348 or 0.019 results in an interest payment of $2,418,000. So subtracting the latter from the former yields a savings of $10,081,500. That's just one loan, people. We're doing an example of one loan, okay? That's using McCarty's formula and circumscribing the time period to comply with the statute of limitations. So you can see all the calculations that are in the verdict in here. A reasonable approximation of the ill-gotten interest rate savings for 4 loans. So number one, on the Doral loan from 2014 to 2022, $72,908,308. Okay, the old post office loan, 53,423,209 from 2015 to 2022. This is from the Chicago loan from 2014 to 2022. 17,443,359. The 40 Wall Street loan from 2015 to 2022. 24,265,291.
Just doing rough math there on those four. That's like $165 million just on those four loans. That's how much he was able to enrich himself, by the way, by lying.
Yeah, by committing fraud.
Yeah, and
stole.
Thank you. So even this is the discussion that we had last night. The point is, and we'll keep going to really hammer this home, but this is the point that needs to be brought up in every one of these discussions, is that Donald Trump committed a crime. It doesn't matter if the bank is upset about it or not. It doesn't matter. You can't break the law to enrich yourself. You can't do that. That's what he did here. Whether the bank decides to sue him or not doesn't matter what the bank testifies. None of that is relevant. He broke the law to enrich himself. And in this country, you cannot break the law to enrich yourself. That's just the rules. Like Law and Order guy.
Them's the rules. And so it's not just the banks. That's what we're going to go. This is about to get so much better. Stay with me here. So, and whether Deutsche Bank and other lenders are complaining about it or not, that is money that Trump got from them by committing fraud. So the question is, who was harmed here? The answer is, number one, very clearly the lenders who missed out on tens of millions of dollars they would have collected had Trump paid an interest rate commensurate with the actual level of risk the banks took when they loaned money to him. That's the point, right? They're covering their own risk. Like, these banks would have been effed if this had gone bad. Right. So more tangibly, so this is something you can sink your teeth into. If Trump hadn't lied, right, this is who was defrauded. Someone else would have gotten these deals, right? The private wealth management deals. Whoever was second in line would have gotten these interest rates and these deals. And the person that didn't get the profit that he or she would have reaped if Trump hadn't lied about his financial situation to make himself look more attractive. Right. So, for instance, this is a good example. In 2010, Trump won the concession from the New York City parks to run a golf course at Ferry Point, based in part on his claim that his net worth at this point in 2010, he claimed his net worth was $3 billion and that he had $200 million in cash reserves. He then submitted fraudulent SFCs annually. OK, so again, this is not just one document. That's what we're trying to tell you. He is lying on financial documents over time, along with a letter from his accountant stating that there had been no material adverse change in his financial position. In 2023, he sold the concession to Bally's, netting $60 million. Like, so Justice Engoron ordered Trump to disgorge, right? He was engorged. We learned this word yesterday, engorged with, blood flow or money, whatever. And disgorgement is saying you fraudulently took all this money and now you need to give it back. Like, that is the point. So go ahead.
No, keep going.
Yeah, so he ordered him to disgorge that $60 million, along with an additional $127 million that he netted from the sale of the old post office hotel in D.C. on the theory that these deals would have gone to someone else if Trump hadn't lied so flagrantly about his wealth. So in a very real sense, the victims are the second most attractive bidders for those deals who would have gotten the Ferry Point and old post office contracts if they hadn't gone to Trump. Like, it is not, you cannot defraud the marketplace in business. There are victims. That's how a free market works. For all the libertarians who are like deregulated free markets, this is a perversion of the marketplace. That's what we're looking at. That is a crime.
Right. That and it goes when we had what's his stupid face, Mr. Wonderful on yesterday, and these people that are coming out in defense of Donald Trump. This is what they're saying. They're saying like, hey, look, we've been getting around this for years. Like we've been breaking the law for years. This isn't fair. We won't be able to make our billions anymore in an unethical way. You can't do this. That's what all of these people are arguing. That these truckers now, the truckers for Trump, who are like, we're not going to send
them. Yeah, I put that. Yeah, I put it in the outline again. We got to get to the truckers.
This is what you guys are upset about. This is why you're going to lose money.
This man stole hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're going to die on this hill. Like, it makes no sense. So just to go on, because this gets... So we are all the victim here. Less tangibly, but no less importantly, is the damage that this persistent fraud does to the marketplace itself. Put simply, lying about your credit worthiness makes it more difficult for lenders to price risk. And so they have to charge a higher premium to everybody. Do you understand that? Like, our loan rates go up when people defraud the marketplace. We are paying more, all of us, to account for his fraud. Did I make that clear?
It's very clear. Look, this is exactly what he did in Atlantic City. He lied about his finances to acquire the loans. He defaulted on the loans. And then he went to the banks and he basically was like, you guys are complicit on this and you're going to help me out. And they did. Like, it actually worked for him. He basically strong-armed the banks into continuing to pay him. I want to say it was like, was it $130,000 a month? It might have been more than that. He had a stipend from the bank. Because he was broke and he needed to run interference so the bank didn't catch heat. He's been doing this his whole life. And I would just point out that if this was anybody but Donald Trump, if this was not somebody running for president, or had Donald Trump never ran for president, not a single person would give a fuck.
This guy stole hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're like, let's elect him and give him like the nuclear codes.
He would be trashed universally on every news outlet. Like, everybody would be mocking him. Everybody would love to see like this billionaire fall, because everybody intrinsically knows that billionaires are corrupt. That's why we celebrate when they fall. But when it's a billionaire who agrees with our politics, we're a little more kind.
Yeah, because I think if you're going to have that much money, there's definitely, I mean, there's a spectrum of ethics that go with it. But absolutely. And look, the other thing that's interesting, and we can get to more, but I think you played a Kevin O'Leary clip yesterday. Look at who's coming out of the woodwork to defend this man. Like, we are talking about someone who very clearly defrauded everyone, the marketplace, the banks, all of us, because our interest rates go up for hundreds of millions of dollars. And look at the billionaires who are coming out and being like, what's wrong with this? The other people who are defrauding us are coming out and being like, oh no, like, we don't want to start catching billionaires in fraud. Like, and so listen, this is the last part I want to read.
And I think that's a natural reaction. Like, that's not just going to be billionaires. Had you and I been doing something our whole lives and then suddenly they cracked down on it, like, that's true. Maybe we would complain too, but we'd still be wrong. That's the important part to remember. That people can complain all they want, but he had another option. He had the option of not lying. He had the option of not being a dishonest billionaire. All of these people had that option. All of them know that they're breaking the rules or dancing around the rules, and they're like, oh, well, the government looks the other way. Well, someday they won't.
Yeah.
Someday the government will do their actual fucking job, and that's still on you. We should not be giving sympathy to people who built their careers off of fraud and then be like, oh, well, the government wasn't doing it before. Even if this was politically motivated, I still don't give a shit. He broke the law. I don't care if Ngoran is just like, sends every dime he has to Joe Biden and has a deep, dark, desire to just get Joe Biden elected and take down Trump. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The facts are he broke the law. That's all we should talk about right now. This bias and this like intent and this unfairness. Who the fuck cares? He broke the law, and it hurt people. That's all we should care about.
And it is amazing to see like the hubris, the excessive pride and disbelief of other, let's say, white male billionaires who, like, I think what's happening here is they just don't expect to be caught, right? I just want to picture again, everyone picture in your minds, if this was Obama, if Obama had done this same thing, what would the reaction be from Fox News? How would the coverage be different? Do you think they would be saying Obama's a victim? Do you think that?
No, they're transparently giving away the game. They're like, hey, wait, we run this shit. What are you doing? We run this shit. We're the ones we make the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys don't get to step in and enforce the laws. This is our job. That's literally what you're seeing from billionaires is they're like, hold on a second. Are you telling me that we're not going to have the power anymore?
This is our world. You guys are just living in it. Yeah. And
then they sell you, oh, this is really about, if they can do this to us, look, we have all this money. If they can do this to us, you don't have any money. They can do it to you. Well, you know what we're not doing? Committing fucking fraud.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, yeah, the reason you haven't been caught before is because you have the money. Nobody's coming after you, MAGA. Nobody's coming after the everyday citizen not committing fraud. If Donald Trump says they're after me, they're not after me, they're after you, he's talking specifically to those in his audience who are committing fraud. If you're not the person in his audience committing fraud, he's not talking to you.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 60K. Again, we aren't receiving gifts. We are doing CoinCot through the end of the month in solidarity with BIPOC creators who are being shadow banned and not found on the app. So if you would like to donate to us, please leave a funny message and we'll read it during the show. F, Marry, Kill, if you can't think of another one, is always a good game with politicians. F, Marry, Unalive. Sorry.
And here's a good example from Cody who sent a donation. It says FMK Political Spawn Edition. Don Jr., Hunter, RFK Jr.
You know me. I'm marrying...
You're marrying Don Jr.
I'm marrying Hunter Biden's laptop. Does the laptop come with Hunter, or you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely I'm going to have to marry Hunter. I'm going to have to have premarital sex with Don Jr. It's not going to be great, but I don't know what else to do.
And RFK's gone?
I cannot do RFK. That at least, do you know what listen, okay, this is what it is about Don Jr. This is what it is. I also was raised by a malignant narcissist. I see so much of myself in him. I know what he's doing. He is so desperate for his dad's approval. I know what it's like to be willing to do anything to work for the approval of a parent. So I think I have sympathy for him in that way.
Chris asked the question before I answer this. What percent of BIPOC creators are being suppressed compared to others? We would have no idea. TikTok doesn't make that data available to us. It's a larger conversation I could talk about in the tech industry, how algorithms are naturally discriminatory. There are many articles on it, and if you're interested in researching more how BIPOC creators aren't found all the time. Perfect. There you go. My answer is going to be a little different. I'm going to have a one-nighter with Hunter. It's going to be wild. I bet it is. Pictures, send pictures. Don Jr. is gone. And I'm marrying RFK Jr., but only because I love his wife, and I'm gonna. It's my way in. Cheryl Hines. Are you talking about Cheryl Hines? Yeah, that's my. Do you really love Cheryl Hines? I love Cheryl Hines, but she's kind of gone off the deep end. Lately, I'm not listening to her. No, I want to listen. I want to keep loving her, so I'm just not listening to what she says. What is up with you and these women? It's Bobo, it's Nancy Mace, it's all the... think about it. If Jay approaches you and has a crush on you, get in therapy and ask yourself what is going on in your life that he's attracted to you. I was unaware that Cheryl Hines was married to RFK Jr., I just am a big fan of the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, and she was excellent in that. That's when that's undeniable. And I think she's also in the Grinch, the Jim Carrey one. I think she's one of the Whoville people, the Whoville queen. Not as likable a character. I can see that. She traded up too. She went from Larry David, who I love, and she went and she got Ted Danson. It was a good move by her. I like the moves she's making. Yeah, but just her... Yeah, she's lately, what she's been saying since RFK's been running for, they're a little off the deep end. But I think now that you mention it, she's just your type. No, that's perfect. You could fix her, Jay. You'll fix her. She's a wounded bird that fell out of the nest. You'll change her. I got her.
Yeah.
I got a lot of fixing to do this year.
Yeah. Let me read this one last part of this article. So this is just, I want everyone to get a taste for like Judge Engoron and his verdict and like how amazing it was. So for years, Trump argued that the state of New York, the financial capital of the country and one of the financial capitals of the world, had no interest in preserving the integrity of the market itself in the absence of a lender complaining of injury. So Trump's argument is that he can defraud anyone he wants, even though we've now showed who's been injured. But that's what Trump thinks. Like, he can commit any crimes he wants. But as Justice Engoron points out, that's simply a defense of the right to steal a little bit from everyone, quote, stupid enough to tell the truth on their loan applications. Do you guys understand what he's saying right here? He's saying, because we're dumb enough, like, this is what Trump thinks. We're the idiots that don't lie on federal documents. You know what I mean? So he has the right to steal a little bit from us because we're the idiots who tell the truth.
Yeah, you thought you were getting Robin Hood. You got Robbing Hood. That's who you have here. This is Donald Trump. Just like, yeah, this is what he does. Donald Trump grifts off the people that don't have the money so that he can continue his absorbent lifestyle. So speaking of absorbent, depends. Hello, Donald Trump.
And Trump's refusal to even acknowledge his lies. So this is a good part of the verdict, because everyone, like, you'll hear the line from Fox News, oh, all of this money, it's so much money because Justice Engoron said that Trump's not sorry. But a big part of any trial, just so you know, is acknowledging that you've defrauded people to the tune of hundreds of millions and apologizing, like Bernie Madoff did. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't commit a giant fraud, steal hundreds of millions of dollars, and be like, I do it again. That's what Trump was sitting in the courtroom saying. So
We've built contrition into our justice system. We're allowed to lower the sentence for contrition. The problem with this way of thinking, for those people who say, like, Justice Engoron gave Donald Trump the exact sentence or the exact ruling that he deserved. And what he could have done, had Donald Trump shown contrition, he could have lessened that number. That's what you got. Like, that's what you don't understand. It's not like the number was higher because Donald Trump wasn't sorry. It's that Donald Trump, if he showed contrition, might have been able to work out a deal that was a little bit more favorable to him. And there's a chance that they're going to lessen this on appeal. There's a chance, but it's not going to be because he shows contrition. Which, like, at that point, what the fuck is our justice system? If this is an equation, this was an easy number to come up with. You just had to do an equation. We're lowering that number for him. Why? There better be a good reason why we lower that number. And off the top of my head, contrition's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, so just remember, like, we went over the math. Like, it's a formula, like Jay was saying yesterday. Like, it's the exact amount that he engorged himself, and now we are disgorging him. So here's the quote from the verdict I want to read. So Trump's refusal to even acknowledge his lies demonstrates exactly why the state needed to step in. So this is from the verdict. This court is not constituted to judge morality. Amen. It is constituted to find facts and apply the law. In this particular case, in applying the law to the facts, the court intends to protect the integrity of the financial marketplace and thus the public as a whole. Defendant's refusal to admit error, indeed to continue it, according to the Independent Monitor, mean Trump's saying he's going to do this again. That's what he's saying. Constrains this court to conclude that they will engage in it going forward unless judicially restrained. Indeed, Donald Trump testified that even today, he does not believe the Trump organization needed to make any changes based on the facts that came out during this trial. He's literally saying he's going to continue defrauding the marketplace. And that's why the punishment is like it is, to try to prevent him from doing so. He's not banned forever for doing business, but he's saying you need to think about it because you're sitting here saying that right after this verdict comes out, you're going to continue. Someone just said I'm engorged watching.
I laughed at the same thing.
I know. I almost choked. That's funny. Sorry. That's really funny.
I never choke.
Anyways, but yeah, that's what's going on. So I hope that this has created a larger understanding of where the numbers in the verdict came from, who the victims were, and why the punishment is like it is. Because this man is literally excited to do this again.
He's engorged to do it again, you can say.
He's hyped, for sure, for sure.
He's hyped. So look, as we discuss this with Republicans, when you're out there in the trenches, let's
taking grenades.
Don't let them talk about the banks. Don't let them talk about how the banks testified that it was fine. Don't let them talk about the what was that? The disclaimer. None of that's relevant. If you look at the case, you look at the verdict, none of that shit is relevant. It does not matter one bit that the bank could be like, we think we should give him another $100 million just that he can keep. Still doesn't matter. They could say, we made so much money off him, we're going to give him half of it back. Doesn't matter. He still committed fraud. The bank is not the person suing him here. We got to remember that. This is the state. The state is suing him.
Exactly. And just remember, in capitalism, right? Some of us object to free market capitalism and the way it is rigged against some of us. But like in free market capitalism, you have to protect the free market. That's rule one. Trump is perverting the free market. Like for all libertarians, Bradderall, I saw you, so I'm saying this for you. Like we must protect the free market from people trying to defraud it. Like that's the basics, right? That's libertarian capitalism.
Donald Trump is an enemy to all of us, including you, MAGA. Like he's not good for you. He only hurts you. He makes it so that you argue like the dumbest shit, and your life isn't going to get better with him. He just wants to keep enriching himself. Your life will not be better with Donald Trump as president. It won't. Like, he's not doing any of this for you. Stop believing that. Like a guy who has lived for almost 80 years and doesn't have a history of putting others before him ever. It's always been him. He's always first. And you think that just like once he was president, he's like, oh, now I only care about the American people. Okay.
Someone said, thanks, Biden economy. I can now afford Trump shoes and scent. Please tell me Trump doesn't have a cologne. Does Trump have a cologne? No, he doesn't. Oh, or remember when wait, I can't hear you.
Oh, he's got one. He just released it.
No, he didn't.
Along with the shoes. Yeah, it's a Trump cologne. It's called Victory, maybe?
No, it's not.
I think it's called Victory.
Which is very ironic because remember, like not a month and a half ago, we were dealing with the Trump smells situation. Yeah. So is that just to mask the...
I think so. But I have dreadful news. I have the world's worst FMK. This is impossible. You're going to hate this.
Okay. God.
AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Michelle Obama.
Oh my God, that's so... Oh my God. Orgy. No, I'm just kidding. What?
I got this one. I got it. I'm marrying Michelle Obama.
Polyamory.
One-nighter with Jasmine Crockett. And AOC and I, because I believe she's so... No, actually, no. One-nighter with AOC, Jasmine Crockett, former lawyer. We are going to stage her death. And then she's going to run away to a different country, and I'm going to meet her there.
You're going to Gone Girl her?
Myself and Jasmine Crockett will be living somewhere in the Bahamas for the rest of our lives.
That's a life. I could see that for you.
But I already married Michelle. Wait. Shoot. I married Michelle.
Oh my God, who are you getting rid of? Oh, you're just faking a death. I see what you're saying now. That's
that's
so
right.
Tragic.
Yeah. I'm marrying Michelle, but it's going to be a sham wedding. She's going to stay with Barack. And I love you, Michelle. And no disrespect, but I'm going to Bahamas with my girl, Jasmine.
I would love that. So I'll do the opposite then. I'll just have a one-nighter with Jasmine. I'll marry AOC. We could all live in the Bahamas together.
Right.
It would be amazing. Michelle's too good for us. Let's be honest. Like Michelle does not want it to be around us. Like she's got better things to do.
And we'll all be living on that commune in Bahamas. Yes. For those of you who asked where our commune's going to be, Bahamas.
Yeah, can you imagine Jasmine Crockett's there? It's going to be quite a commune. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh my gosh.
I thought you were
we
Roger
would be
Stone
so
kind of
lucky
guy.
to ever come in contact with any of those people. They'd be like, who are these people? Should we talk? Let's get the trucker thing. Let's talk about the truckers.
Yeah, it's
because we can't forget to talk about the truck.
The pulse of the nation.
Yeah, it's like, just think about the truck. Since COVID and we all realized the supply chain and the importance of the truckers, I do feel like the truckers have rose up, become quite political. We can't hear you.
Very, very political. And it's so on brand for Trump folks that the people that they're relying on and hyping up as their political activists are truckers.
Yeah, I have some of the original video of this guy. Like, it's like 2 minutes and 42 seconds, so we don't have to listen to the whole thing. But so this trucker, this specific trucker, you know, was very upset that Trump defrauded all of us, stole hundreds of millions of dollars, and is now going to have to pay it back. Like, he became enraged about that while driving his truck and filmed himself yelling about it. So I'm going to play some of it. Here, let me turn this up.
I've been on the radio talking to drivers for about the last hour 15 minutes.
That's right.
And I'm talking to at least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from South
10 drivers.
And they're going to start refusing loads in New York City starting on Monday.
Again, he said they're refusing loads from New York City starting Monday.
Listen, probably not refusing loads from Flying J, but...
That's what she said.
The irony here is that should enough truckers get together, band together, and cause problems for the state of New York, who do you think you're hurting, truckers? You're hurting poor people. Like, exactly. If you cause the prices to go up...
Products will go up, yeah.
On the products you're delivering... Do you think the people that you are so worried about, Judge Engoron and what's her name,
Engorgeron
and Letitia James? Do you think that like directly hurts them or the state? No, you're just going to hurt poor people. You're not 10 truckers, probably not enough. I don't know if he knows how many people live in this country. 10 is a small number of people. But even if you were successful, all you're going to do is hurt poor people. So Donald Trump steals from the people, and your response to that is, you can't hold him accountable. We're going to make life hell on poor people. Cool. Yeah. Cool.
Let's see if we can find some more. This gets really weird.
I don't know.
I don't know is honest.
How far across the country this is, or how many truckers are going to start denying loads to going to New York City.
That's right.
But I'll tell you what, you fuck around and find out. Okay?
That's right.
I'm tired of you motherfucking leftists fucking with Trump. Okay? You know, motherfuckers are starting to get tired of this shit. And you know, our bosses ain't gonna care if we deny the loads. We'll just go somewhere else. Alright? You know how fucking hard it is to get into New York City with one of these motherfuckers? Man, fuck that. Alright?
That's right.
Alright.
I'll tell you.
Tell me.
I don't wish nothing on nobody, but
yeah, sure.
By what I'm hearing, this
from all 10 truckers,
you know,
tap the screen.
See, but you know, leave Trump the fuck alone.
Did you?
Bullshit.
This is bullshit.
All right. You know you ain't got shit on Trump.
Yeah.
Cut the bullshit. He's gonna win this motherfucker on appeal, but it's still, you know, it's bullshit. It's
cut the bullshit, everyone.
Yeah, he's gonna win it on appeal.
We'll see what happens. I ain't, you know, I hate to say it, man, but motherfucking truckers are for Trump, man. I mean, like 95, 96% out here, all Trump. Ain't no motherfuckers for Biden. All right, man.
All right.
I'll let you know what else I hear. But,
oh, good,
you know,
good. Can't fucking wait.
Monday rolls around, but
yeah.
Chicago Ray, check it in.
Chicago Ray, check it in, dear
Appreciate
sweet
you checking
Jesus.
in. I wonder what Chicago Rain's opinion was on NFL players making politics part of their job. I wonder if Chicago Rain ever was like, "Don't bring politics to work. Stand up for the flag." I wonder if he ever did that.
That's Big Block's friend. Isn't Big Block in trucking? Oh no, he's in dredging, I think. Never mind. Big Block, if you're here, I'd love to talk to you about Chicago Ray. So this story of Chicago Ray is not over. Like, this is all they're talking about on Fox. Like, the next day, they're like, the truckers are tens of truckers are banding together to support Donald Trump. So
David said it. David brought it up last night.
Of course he did.
The truckers were going to bring down Biden.
We all need to get CB radios so we could communicate with the trucker. You guys, let's get CB radios and make TikToks of us trolling the truckers. How much is a CB radio?
I'm going to eBay right now.
We have to get,
I swear to God, I'll
talk
do this.
to truckers.
I'll live stream.
Yeah, we could get truckers to talk to us about Trump and see what they're up to. Like that's the key. That's how we have to communicate with them, is a CB radio. I can't wait to figure out my handle.
What's the range on these babies?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, do we have to go like stand on a freeway, or? I'm willing to figure it out.
To the Discord.
Someone said there's a CB radio app. What? Don't play with us.
Stop it.
Stop. I will spend the next week of my life talking to truckers.
Eric Scott Hawkins, I don't know if you are opposition or not. Go ahead and let Jen know. You know? You know how far they go? Just let us know. Yeah. Oh, man. We may have just found a new business model.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to truckers.
Terrorizing truckers. So,
but this might be shocking, but I have... I'll drop it in the Discord. I just went on eBay, and I was looking at... I typed in CB radios, and the 6th option was... It was used, but a custom CB radio that is decorated half in the American flag and half in the Confederate flag.
Oh, that's what I need. I want one from like a military surplus store. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want the real thing. So what has happened, like, to Chicago Ray? Like, what happened is Chicago Ray, you know, at the end, how he was screaming that, like, their employers won't care if they do their jobs? Like, just stop taking loads to New York City. Well, it turns out that Chicago Ray's employers do care. And so he had Chicago Ray is in trouble. And why does it say exit pages? Okay. So Chicago Ray had to print a retraction of this video. And this is Chicago Ray. So apparently Chicago Ray's employers did care, because he has quickly done a 180 after deleting the video. And this article I'm reading, it's in the outline, somewhere, I think near the bottom. It's the one about the truckers. He posted this message on Twitter where he said he just wanted to let bygones be bygones on this boycott thing. So this is his, just to be clear, I'm no figurehead of any movement. I'm not leading. We know, Chicago Ray. You're not giving off that vibe. Nor have I encouraged, or am I encouraging, anyone to do anything other than what they were doing prior to the ruling on Friday in New York City. I'm just a trucker who heard chatter and posted it on Twitter. Nothing more than that. I've been asked to go on several podcasts, as well as a GoFundMe, which I have declined and will continue to decline. Well, there's good people in New York City. I've got family there. Trump will win this on appeal and will be vindicated. Let's ratchet it down and let that process play out. He did not write this. Who wrote this?
But let me tell you what he did write 3 hours ago.
Can I finish this?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought that was...
We're all Americans, and although we may not agree with the way Trump is being persecuted, there's a lot of people who have nothing to do with this that could be harmed. We're truckers. We do what we do. We worked through the pandemic. Let's keep goods and services flowing as scheduled, and our voices will be heard loud and clear. God bless America. God bless Trump, and God bless every trucker in this country.
Now, 3 hours ago, he said just got off the phone with the broker we deal with, loads out of Michigan. Sorry, it's tough to read. Just got off the phone with the broker we deal with, loads out of Michigan, Illinois, Indiana. The reefer load that was refused yesterday, I told you about, the receiver paid him 30% more to get that load delivered to New York City. Load was off the board 5 minutes later. Bottom line, groceries are about to start costing a lot more in New York, New Jersey, and Philly. I do have a question with this. It is a federal crime to transport reefer across state lines. You're not allowed to do that. So I'm very confused by this.
I've never done it.
Did he just implicate his friend's company in a crime? But yeah,
well, this is
bottom line. Groceries are about to start costing a lot more in New York, New Jersey, and Philly. Okay, so who are you hurting there? Truckers for Trump? Who are you hurting?
Well, listen to this. So the post I read, so you won't find that. This is what this article says. You won't find that post on his Twitter page now, because after getting called out on it, right, his followers were like, "Oh, that's not what you said the first time." He deleted it. So he deleted his "I'm sorry" post and changed his story again. This is another post that was after the "I'm sorry" post, which says, "I took that video down from Friday because it went viral and my grandson seen it on TikTok. No one's got to me. I heard what drivers were saying and I'm hearing some of that today. I ain't scared of shit. I grew up in Chicago. I stand with Trump 100%. Truckers for Trump. Drivers can make their own decision based on their families and their careers. I worked for a place for 18 years and I quit them in one day and had this job before I got to my car. I ain't the leader of any movement. I'm my own man."
For somebody from the LGBTQ movement.
Shut the fuck up when she's talking. Let people finish. It's not an invitation for you
if
to
you're
come up
going
and,
to say
and start
something
talking
about who I am, I would rethink it, David.
No, I'm saying for somebody from the LGBTQ movement, you sure make fun of people a lot. The way you're.
What are you talking? What the does that mean?
The way you're talking about
What does
people,
that mean, David?
With your accent.
What are you talking about? You mean because I was born attracted to women, men, and pretty much anyone across the spectrum? Is that what you're referring to? That means what? I should behave a different way than I'm behaving now? Think about what you're saying, David. I haven't talked to you in months, and you come up here and be discriminatory. It's really a bad look for you. Let's move on from that.
I'm just saying that maybe you should talk about people a little bit different. I'm just saying that what you said is
nonsensical as usual. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what's wrong with copying somebody's accent, David?
Well, I mean,
I'm just speaking like that. He's from Chicago. He doesn't even have he shouldn't have a Southern accent anyway.
But anyway, I wasn't trying to make fun of nobody. I'm just saying that.
No, you weren't. Yeah, got it.
So,
what's on
the CBs? They don't. I got to go to take my dog to an appointment. But the CBs, they don't use CBs to communicate these days.
So are you here to?
What are they using?
How are they?
No, it's mostly digital now. It's they use a digital, their phones and shit like that. They don't really use CB.
He said CB, didn't he? Isn't he the one that said CB? I'm watching him talk on the radio.
Yeah, they really don't use CBs all that much these days. Honestly, seriously.
Great. There's truckers in here that say yes, they do.
Okay, so did you look up that case in Colorado?
Where did you get that information, David, that they don't?
Well, I know a lot of truckers. They don't use CBs
Harrison
all that
Floyd
much
told them.
No, they don't.
And the truckers that we have here that use CB radios, what do you have to say to them?
Well, there are truckers that use them, but they're just not real prominent these days. Honestly.
How do you know that?
Because I know lots of truckers.
Oh God, how many?
Lots.
How many?
50? 60?
How many truckers do you think there are in this country? And
he met during the trucker convoy.
Did you poll them?
It's just not.
Who uses CBs?
No, it's just not as relevant as it used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe, okay, so does Felice know about the case that happened in 2019? The trucker brakes went out and he was sentenced to 110 years. And then they commuted the sentence to 10 years because of the protest from the truckers.
This is what I was telling you, Felice. So what he's saying, David, let me translate for you because you don't make any sense sometimes. What he's saying is...
Stop moving around, David, and hold your breath while he's talking.
I know, I'm walking, sorry. I'm getting out of here anyway.
Yeah, so there was a trucker whose brakes went out, unalive some people. He was sentenced to, I think, life, and then the governor stepped in. There was a lot of pressure from truckers, and the government stepped in. The governor stepped in and commuted the sentence. That's what, and so this is his justification for saying that, he thinks that the truckers are going to make enough noise that the government's going to have to step in and drop all the charges against Trump. This is his new talking point that he's come up with on his own, that the truckers are going to put so much pressure on the federal government that they're going to drop all of Trump's charges. You're muted, Felice.
This is the reality. I just want to be clear. I 100% support truckers. And I think what we all learned in the pandemic, when we saw the breakdown of the global supply chain, how valuable the trucking industry, especially in America where we don't have high speed trains. There's no other type of communicate or ways to travel other than trucking in this country, which is a crime. But yeah, so I mean, it's very important. The problem is the truckers have some misguided belief that Trump in any way supports laborers. Trump is out here trying to step on unions every single time this man speaks, or does a Trump rally. He is against unions. He is not pro-labor in any way. He is actually anti-labor. He does not want to support any of the working men and women in this country. So that's where you lose me.
Yeah, truckers, your jobs will ultimately, as we continue to automate things, you're going to desperately need politicians who protect labor, right? Your job is not that far away from being automated unless people step in and protect you. You're going to need a union, or you're going to need politicians who care about workers and protect the workers, not just because they say it, not because they show up at a campaign and say, oh, I love truckers, but because what they do, how they legislate, what they advocate for are actual policies that help you. And Donald Trump does none of that for you. The reason that you guys like Donald Trump is because he's a prick. And you guys like prick. We all of us have a friend that's kind of a prick, but that prick stands up for things that we like, so we like him. We're like, hell yeah, he says it how it is. He's a prick. That's what you guys like about Donald Trump. He's a prick. The problem is he's also an idiot, and he says a lot of things that are wrong, and he's a criminal. So he convinces you guys to believe things that are the opposite of the truth, and then you also have to defend his criminal activity. That's what sucks. You guys have been co-opted by the dumbest criminal, just the dumbest.
Yeah, and I believe the truckers in this country are vital to the supply chain. They should be paid more. They should get more breaks. That union or that industry needs to be regulated for them so it's safer. And yeah, they deserve much more than they're getting, in my opinion. But they will never get that from Donald Trump. It's like we're in the twilight zone with these people. They're willing to lose their jobs, go on strike, stop bringing. Yes, David, I understand that truckers get paid. Why are you still here? I
thought he had to leave. I thought he
was taking his doggy somewhere. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, is there anything else anyone needs to say to the truckers while we're here?
Let me go turn off my heater real quick.
Yeah, because we can move along from that now. I think we're good. We can decide what to do. The next thing I want to do, if today's going to be more educational, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, or we can go through. We can explain the Alexander Smirnov indictment, which this is a good indictment if you're looking to sink your teeth into and just something you can quickly read. It's 37 pages of why the whole impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden is completely fabricated. And
Mike Johnson said they're going to release the illustrated version for Republicans here soon, so Republicans will be able to read it. Yeah.
Just pictures that they can sort of figure out in some way. Yeah, that's important. What's important, the good thing about federal indictments too is this is not I just want to be clear, it's not hey, we think this guy lied. You know what I'm saying? This guy lied multiple times, has told different stories over and over. They kept interviewing him up until September. This last September, they're asking him to tell a story. He's changing it over and over. This man is a pathological liar who in 2017, he originally gave a 1023, right? As described in great detail below. In March 2017, that's known in this indictment as 2017 1023. That's the FBI whistleblower form. The defendant reported to the handler that he had a phone call with the owner of the... Oh, wait, that's not the part I want to read. Hold on, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. But as alleged
real quick,
herein...
Sean was in the box for a second, isn't anymore. Sean, if you're op, go ahead and jump back in the box. If not, we're just taking opposition today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize what you were saying. But this basically, so in 2017, this guy is a confidential human source, a CHS, and for the FBI, he gave a 1023, which said nothing. Okay, the 2017 1023, he was just a guy who had some dealings with Burisma. He never had any contact with the owner. Blah blah blah. Just gave like a basic 1023. He mentioned a conversation that had happened that was related to Hunter Biden being on the board, but had in his 1023 in 2017 just said that's unrelated. They were just talking about, he's on the board. It had nothing to do with anything. So his original statement, which looks like it's the truth in 2017, there was nothing going on, and this guy knows nothing about anything because he's never really had contact with people, especially not the owner. So
yeah, it's wildly suspicious that story would go from blah to sensational 3 years later. Like the advancement of his story, in which he can substantiate none of, is pretty telling.
You just got to.
I would say I would make this is just a guess. We can call this a conspiracy theory. I wouldn't say it's telling. I would say it's cash patelling. That would be my guess as to why this story has changed.
Someone said 19% of truckers are immigrants. I actually do. I know something about that. It is a good industry for immigrants to go in. They make money. So I actually do. I know some people that do that who have immigrated to this country. I have some relatives who have. So this is from the 2017. So this is his original statement on it, right? During the week of February 27, 2017, the confidential human source received a telephone call from Associate One. So this is just some guy that worked at Burisma. Also on the call was Burisma Official One, whom the confidential human source understood as the CEO or owner of Burisma Holdings. During the call, Associate One mentioned they are interested in acquiring a U.S.-based petroleum business. So this just had to do, Burisma is an oil company in Europe. And they were looking to get into the U.S. market either by IPOing there or buying an oil company in the U.S. That's why they had any contact with Alexander Smirnov. He was purporting himself to be a consultant who gives advice on things like that. And also on, he tried to also sell them like a fake crypto product, right? So then he tried to tack on another scam, which is also interesting. And they're like, we don't want your weird fake crypto product. So that's what the original thing is about. And this is the quote. During this call, there was a brief, non-relevant discussion about Public Official One's son. Public Official One is Joe Biden. His son is known as Business Person One, and who is currently on the board of directors. That's all. That's the only original statement that was made, right? Notably, and then it says at the bottom, notably, the defendant did not report in 2017 that in the preceding 2 years, Burisma Official One admitted to the defendant that he had paid Public Official One $5 million when Public Official One was still in office, as the defendant later claimed. So just to be real, his first statement in 2017 said nothing about any of the lies that he suspiciously made up later, right? That's what they're saying. And not only did he make up a bunch of lies, and the best part about this is in this indictment, the way they disprove the lies, it's not like, okay, you said one thing, you changed your story, and then you changed it 5 times. Yes, that did happen. But the best part is his lies were easily fact checked, right? He's claiming Hunter Biden was in certain places. Hunter Biden's never been to Ukraine. Little known fact that I learned in this indictment. He was on the board of Burisma. He's never been anywhere near Ukraine. Like, it also comes out.
We need to address something very quickly because it appears that I did something not okay, and something incendiary off mic. I need you to know this. My microphone cord hooks into there. This is my microphone cord. It hooks into there. I pulled that out and I blew in that little place,
That's
not
what
knowing
she
that
said.
when I pulled out this cord that the microphone from my phone would pick up the sound. But Jen keeps telling me that we have popping, so I'm trying to get rid of the popping. So I apologize.
Me?
I wish I was doing something cooler than that. I would admit it, but I wasn't. Sorry.
Yeah, I suggest there's text messages in here. Like, this guy tried to pretend he was golfing with people he wasn't golfing with. But basically, the point I want to make is the way we know he's lying is that his own statements of lies. So there was the 2017 1023 when he admits he knows nothing about Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, and there's nothing about it. And then suspiciously in 2020, the story changes. And his story is that the owner of Burisma himself met with this guy in a coffee shop in some place he's not sure, but thinks it might be Vienna, Austria, and told him, the owner of Burisma personally told this guy that he had paid Hunter Biden $5 million and Joe Biden $5 million, and he was coerced into doing it, and that he had recordings. But unfortunately, the problem is, again, with the timeline, the owner of Burisma was not anywhere near where he said he was. They have never met, never talked.
Look,
like this, and remember, it's easily fact checked.
This is the basis of the investigation. James Comer was on TV. James Comer was telling everybody, Andy Biggs telling everybody, there's a $5 million bribe. Like, there was a $5 million bribe to Joe Biden. That was the basis. And if you remember, after they interviewed, what's that other guy's name?
Bobolinsky?
The business partner.
Oh, yeah, Devin Archer.
Devin Archer, thank you. After the interview of Devin Archer, Andy Biggs was coming out, and somebody caught him before he got in the car, and they asked him, they're like, what about that $5 million bribe? And Andy Biggs said, yeah, he didn't provide any evidence for that. There's been no evidence of that $5 million bribe anywhere, and it appears to be a very, very made-up story, which is shocking coming from MAGA. I can't believe that they would make up a story at this point. That's wild. Well,
I mean, and so just know that not only has this guy's lies contradict himself, he changed his story over and over. And when he started realizing they were interviewing him like in depositions, like in September 2023, his story changed under oath because he's not telling the truth. But the way that we know he's not telling the truth is from simple fact checking. They're like, you say you had these meetings, whatever, like, show us your business travel, show us this, show us that. It's also, and none of the facts none of them line up. Like, he didn't even create a good lie that maybe the timelines would work out or where he was in the world would work out. None of it makes any sense. It is all a lie. And the more interesting part, it kind of alleges in here that he had, which makes a lot of sense, contact with Russians who may or may not be in security or in intelligence, because they told him all these weird, like, he started saying all these weird things, like when he was being interviewed by the FBI, oh, well, Hunter, ask Hunter Biden why he was in this hotel. I think it's called like the Imperial Palace or something like that in Ukraine, and what he was doing there. Like, the Russians have all these conversations, like, ask Hunter. Yeah, Hunter's never been to Ukraine, like, ever in his life. Hunter's never, so either the Russians were giving this guy false information to see if he was a confidential human source and feeding it to the FBI, or they're just trying to spread disinformation.
Wait, but Hunter's never been to Ukraine?
No, that's what comes out he was on the board of Burisma, but has never been in the country of Ukraine.
I was unaware of this. I read this.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
How did I miss that?
That's what's funny, because this guy doesn't know. I'm pretty sure I highlighted it where he said, let me see if I can find it. I have a bunch of things highlighted, but let me see. Because I think the defendant told Associate 2 that Burisma representatives were not interested in cryptocurrency products. Like, I love that he just tried to, like, defraud them.
What about some NFTs? Can we do some NFTs?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to do a sneaker deal? Like, it's hilarious that, like, during all of this, he's just like, oh, by the way, I got a little cryptocurrency product that we could sell you. And they're like, no, please stop. Further, the defendant did not travel to Vienna around the time public official 1 made a statement about then prosecutor general. Yeah, and the other thing to remember is the 2017 1023, when he was saying all this, like, he never had contact with anyone at Burisma, even the people he talked to, until after Joe Biden had left office and what's his name, is it Shokin? Is that the
Shokin? Yeah.
Yeah, and after he had been fired, this man had never even spoken to anyone at Burisma until after Joe Biden was gone from office, Obama was gone, and there was no influence that Joe Biden could have. But I want to find this.
But that's the again, the star witness here. And can we just point out that every single time they try and make the claim that the DOJ is being weaponized against Trump, that every time it turns out they're not? Like, every single time the facts haven't backed it up so far. How many times, I wonder, will it take for MAGA to be like, okay, this was the 58th time in a row that they were wrong? All right, maybe we stop listening. Like, how many times? How many more times does one of your accusations have to have nothing? Remember, Joe Biden or Donald Trump was impeached twice, and there was actual evidence for his impeachment. Whether you liked the impeachment or not, there was actual evidence there. This impeachment has exactly zero evidence tying to Joe Biden to any sort of crime or wrongdoing or like selling his political influence. None of that. There is zero evidence, not a small amount of evidence, not a disputed amount of evidence, none. There is no evidence that Joe Biden did anything corrupt.
I'm about to find it, I think. Let's see. Additionally, the handler identified and reviewed with the defendant travel records associated with both Associate 2 and the defendant. The travel records were inconsistent with what the defendant had previously told the handler. Yeah, it's... You see my board? I'm not going to be fucked. Like, it's just in his own words. It's hilarious. I'm going to find it. I know I highlighted it. Oh, yeah. Here's the Premier Palace. It's called Premier Palace. The defendant suggested that investigators check to see if business person 1, that's Hunter Biden, made telephone calls from the Premier Palace, because he was told by the Russians. This guy is telling the FBI that he knows for a fact that Hunter Biden was at this hotel where apparently, Russians hang out, making phone calls that the Russians had recorded. So the defendant suggested that investigators check to see if business person 1 made telephone calls from the Premier Palace Hotel, since those calls would have been recorded by the Russians. The defendant claimed to have obtained this information a month earlier by calling a high-level official in a foreign country. The defendant also claimed to have learned this information from 4 different Russian officials. Am I painting a picture for you about who this man is? Oh, here, let's see. Oh, here it is. I think I found it. Okay, so page 33, section 53. The defendant told investigators, this guy is a Russian, a foreign agent, basically. The defendant told investigators, Alexander Smirnov told investigators, that 4 different Russian officials are all top officials, and 2 are the heads of entities they represent. So they're oligarchs. These Russians said that the conversations with Ukrainians about ending the war will include the next Donald Trump in order to end the war in Ukraine. That is the message that Russia is giving to Alexander Smirnov to give to the FBI. Like, this is how wild this is.
And by the way,
and James Comer's like, yes, let's impeach the United States president based on a pack of obvious lies that Bill Barr already debunked. But this is the part about Hunter I think, not being at that place. So these Russians said about ending the war, sorry. The defendant told investigators he is involved in negotiations over ending the war and had been for the previous 4 months. So Alexander Smirnov believes he is negotiating with the Russians, if Trump is elected president, to end the war in Ukraine. This guy's
so he's a hero.
Delusional.
Wait a minute.
I'm just painting a picture. Yeah, this man's a delusional liar. Delusional lies. Okay. According to the defendant, the Russians want Ukraine to assist in influencing the U.S. election. And the defendant thinks the tapes of business person one, remember I told you that Russians are telling him that they have tapes of Hunter Biden at the Premier Palace Hotel is all they have. The defendant told investigators he wants them to ask business person one how many times, so ask Hunter Biden how many times he visited and what he did while at the Premier Palace Hotel. And then 54 says business person one, so Hunter Biden, has never traveled to Ukraine. The few Burisma board meetings that business person one did attend were all outside of Ukraine.
Spaghetti-o.
So this man didn't even know Hunter's never been to Ukraine. Like, I'm just saying, if you want a good read of how big of a liar James Comer really truly is, this is a pile of bullshit. Like, there's no other words for what this guy is. It's probably my favorite
pile of bullshit that I've ever gotten.
Oh, I would love to just, yeah. I might go in live, so just read this to Matt.
I could sift through this bullshit all day long.
Yeah, it turns out everything this man was saying, he thinks he's bringing peace and ending the war in Ukraine, and the Russians were testing this guy. They're saying, we have all these tapes, like, tell the FBI, and this guy went and gave out all this false information that he's been fed. Hunter's never been to Ukraine.
That's interesting. Part of the Matt Taibbi reporting is that, and I didn't even get to this. He has multiple stories. I can't even find what the fuck his source is for this or where he's saying it. But other outlets are reporting it. Fox is reporting that that Russia was really in bed with Hillary, and that it was like a disinformation campaign to say that they were in bed with Trump. Like that's part of this new conspiracy. Like, the binder that they're trying to track down now, and this reporting by Matt Taibbi, is the most desperate attempt for MAGA's conspiracy theories to be correct that I've ever seen. It's hard not to think that at this point Matt Taibbi is compromised. Like,
something's happening to all of them. Like, Tucker's trapped in Russia. Is Tucker home yet? Does anyone know where Tucker Carlson is?
And to be clear, I'm trying to be fair to Matt Taibbi. Again, I'm not saying that Matt Taibbi is not a good journalist. I'm not saying that what he's reporting on...
He was at one time. He's not now.
I'm not even saying what he's reporting on couldn't be true. What I'm saying is he's now choosing to report on things before he has evidence for it. And that's a change. And that change has really made him very popular on the right. And we know that when you go to the right, you make more money. Have you seen there's an interview of Matt Taibbi in a custom gold and diarrhea green Adidas tracksuit, and he's got a gold Matt Taibbi logo.
Oh, he's lost his mind.
Yeah, he got money, and he didn't know what to do with it.
He's in it's a cottage industry. That's what I'm saying. Imagine, you guys, we appreciate so much the donations you guys give us. This is at this point our job, and we want to make a living of it. But imagine how much easier it would be if we just defected to the right. I don't have to read indictments anymore. I don't have to have facts. I can just make up a bunch of salacious lies. And no matter what I say, it will be eaten up. I will be paid information and disinformation. And it's that's what's happening. You get a taste of the money you can make in that cottage industry, the MAGA industry of peddling fear and lies. And yeah, they're like, oh, I get it now. I get why people are over here.
It doesn't make a difference too. You can be wrong and it's okay. Nobody's ever going to go back and fact check your shit, and nobody cares. The only people fact checking your shit are the people who don't like you anyways. Being a right wing creator is literally the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I just want to point, Lil White Privilege had 50,000 followers before I think he got banned or something.
Who?
Little White Privilege.
I didn't know that was a person. I need to look this up.
You guys, some people know who he is, but it is so easy on the right to, but you just have to be a little bit crazy. That's the key. You got to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah,
you have to be willing to say some bizarre shit.
Yeah, but you're no longer held to any standard of ethical journalism, right and wrong. There's no morality, but you claim to have a false sense of morality, which is amazing. But yeah, just look at this is an example. This this is full of Russian misinformation and disinformation, lies being fed to Alexander Smirnov, who's feeding them to our U.S. Congress. Someone in the comments, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but said something really smart. What this indictment shows is the deep involvement of the U.S. Congress and their ties to Russia and their willingness to accept lies in order to impeach the legitimate United States president. This is terrifying stuff that we're dealing with here.
And like, if you're going to give it the most generous way you could look at this, the nicest way you could interpret this for Republicans is that they're doing what their voters want. Even though what their voters want to do is impeach a guy with no evidence, they're doing what their voters want. That's the best thing you could say about Republicans. Like the absolute nicest thing you could say about Republicans. But what I would say, just given the Republicans that I've dealt with and the people in my life, Republicans don't know what they want. They wait to be told what they want.
Look at Chicago Ray.
Yeah, I don't even think that being that kind to Republicans is warranted. They know what they're doing. They need their base to be outraged. An outraged base gives more money. They need to just shove their head up Donald Trump's ass as far as it can possibly go, and then they need to brag about it. They need to send tweets from inside of his small intestine and be like, "Hey guys, you'll never guess where I am. I got here finally." And then they'll be like, "Yeah, you're the greatest. Re-election forever." That's who this Republican Party is now. They just tell you whatever will make you mad. Facts be damned. We don't care anymore. This is so fucking embarrassing. No other Congress would have ever brought this. Every other Congress in the history of our country would have looked at this evidence and been like, "Oh, yeah, right, dude.
This man is spewing Russian misinformation and disinformation. He's literally saying, 4 Russians told me."
But these guys, they get it and they're like, "Yeah, right, dude. This isn't good evidence." They're like, "Hey, Donald wants us to do it. Got it. We're on it. Done." Yeah. And then they just barrel through it. We have all the evidence. No evidence. None. No evidence.
Like, just to further the line of logic, like what we're dealing with how deep Russia is embedded, like in the Congress and trying to influence our elections, which they're blatantly saying. Alexander Smirnov is saying, like, this is the word on the street. This is what they want to do. He's very clear about it. And then we have, remember the day after Tucker Carlson's Putin interview, and we were talking about that, and that kid, I don't want to say a kid, I'm not saying it to be disrespectful, he just sounded very young, and he came up and he was defending Putin and being like, "Did you guys listen to that?" Yeah. And my comment was, I think it's because you're young or because I have a history degree, but like, I have heard this speech. This is Putin's speech. And even before Putin, this speech of like Russia's manifest destiny and how it's been denied to them. And like, this is their land. That is a very common speech that is given. And he had no idea. And I said to him, if that's a democracy and Russia's such a great place, why is Alexei Navalny in Siberia in prison? And not a week later, Putin's number one opponent who wants democracy in Russia shows up not alive, right? And then I don't know, and this is going somewhere. I don't know if you guys are reading other news, but yesterday there's a bullet-riddled body found in Spain. And do you know who it was? Do you know who it was? It's a guy who tried to defect from the Russian military. He like flew a helicopter just left
to Ukraine.
Yeah, to Ukraine and asked to be saved from Russia and asked for protection. And he was hiding under a false name in Spain, and they got him. And Putin is celebrating it.
Right. And like, while also to the rest of the world, he'll deny that he had anything to do with it. But again, maybe there's more to this than I know.
Listen to this. Last October, so this is one of the Russian state media, right? All of this, the media in Russia is not allowed to say anything unless Putin approves it or you're disappeared. So this is all from the Russian state media. So a host of because I can't really pronounce his name, so we're just going to say what they describe him as is host of state television news. This is the Washington Post article, by the way. Bullet-riddled body found in Spain was Russian defector, Ukraine says. Okay, sorry, I just lost my place. Oh, here we go. Aired a segment on this guy's defection. So on Russian state media, after this guy flew to Ukraine in a Russian helicopter and asked to be saved from Russia, they did a report. The report ended by quoting 3 masked men in camouflage, identified as special forces members. So maybe Wagner military, maybe not, members of Russian military intelligence, stating on Russian state television that they had been given the order to eliminate Kuzminov. End quote, "We will find the man and punish him to the full extent of the law of our state for treason," said one. Quote, "We have long arms," end quote. Said the other, quote, "He will not live to see the trial," end quote. Russian propagandists celebrated the pilot's reported death Tuesday. Pro-Kremlin blogger Sergei Markov posted on Telegram that Kuzminov, Telegram's a wild place if you're not on.
Look, yeah, if
Telegram
you're not
is a
on
wild,
it, think
scary
about it
place
before you join.
Yeah, don't save yourself from how scary it is. And this is the quote. So on Telegram, that Kuzminov was, quote, eliminated. Quote, "We will not rejoice in anyone's death, but this news can save many lives because it reminds everyone." This is what they're doing it. They're making an example. This is what they're saying. It reminds everyone, save your lives and never cooperate with the Ukrainian neo-fascist regime in anything. End quote. Someone's asking who's Kuzminov. He is a Russian helicopter pilot who flew a helicopter to Ukraine and asked for help to defect from the Russian military. And he was in hiding in Spain, and they found him and brutally unalived him.
Felice, do we know why he was fleeing? I got distracted this morning when I was looking at that.
I'm not sure what he testified to when they debriefed him. Well, I mean, it's see, you know what I mean? They're not releasing too much information. Okay, but he was like originally like the Spanish.
Okay, so here's what I found. The Russian pilot who defected to Ukraine along with his helicopter said he abandoned the Russian military to avoid being part of what he called the genocide of the Ukrainian people.
Amen.
He described his motivation in an interview published by Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Agency. This last Sunday. Okay, well, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
he said, what is happening?
They didn't know in Spain yesterday. Because he was hiding, right? They had him hiding under a different name. So if at first they didn't understand who it was. I mean, they knew that it was some sort of like brutal vengeance type situation because of the way it happened. But then it came out soon after who he was and why this had happened.
Yeah, that was daring. He transmitted his location to Ukraine's military and then landed at a base 186 miles away from the front line. And then was immediately, his family was then smuggled out of Russia by Ukrainian operatives. So hopefully his family is being protected right now. They've also, fortunately, they've been removed from Russia. But
like Navalny's wife spoke yesterday. She is the bravest woman, gorgeous also, by the way, and gorgeous children, and is talking about continuing the fight now that he's gone. They won't give up his body still.
Yeah, I saw that. They won't
probably because they're waiting for not yet, and so it's a whole thing. But and then there's another article I wanted to tie this to about Interpol. I need to find it really quick. But the general reason.
Let me read some comments from Lou for Jay's Mormon Quad Pants Fund. I appreciate that, Lou. These Mormon quads are a real problem. I think that was the only one. Okay, yeah, that was the only one. While she's looking that up, guys, let's see if we can get to 160,000 quickly. Reminder, we are still participating in CoinCot. The Venmo and the Cash App can be found there. The PayPal tip jar is in my link tree. If you do send a donation and want to add a silly message, we love reading those.
Well, I'm just going to... It's somewhere in here in the articles. There's an art. If you find it, Jay, while I'm talking, just pull it up. But the basic thing I wanted to talk about, and they're talking about, is after a long time, I don't know if you guys understand what Interpol is, because it's less used by it's used by the US, but it's more of like a world thing. It's like the world police, right? And Interpol uses things, you may have heard of this in like spy movies and stuff. They're called red notices. And what this article is about, in the title, it's strongmen. We can probably everyone could just Google strongmen Interpol, and I'm sure the article will come up. And it's talking about how people like Putin, like Xi, use despite Interpol, it's a New York Times article. Despite Interpol fixes, or strongmen find new ways to abuse Interpol despite years of fixes. What a red notice is something that anyone, so authoritarian dictators use red notices to basically, wherever someone tries to flee, not unlike this pilot, right? Red notices is a notice to apprehend someone and send them back from where they're fleeing. So dissidents from China, from Russia, all these places are being found and either taken back to be unalived or jailed in Siberia.
That was the reason for the
whatever.
Trump Tower meeting, is that there's a red notice out on Bill Browder. In that Trump Tower meeting, when they met with Don Jr., they wanted to exchange dirt on Hillary for Bill Browder. Right, it's somebody who exposed their corrupt financial system, but that's what a red notice is, and they love.
Yeah, and so the red notices had, the strongmen, authoritarian dictators use them to punish people who have escaped, right, their jurisdiction, and so they've tried to overhaul that, right? They tried to overhaul the red notice system so that authoritarian dictators aren't catching people who are fleeing, and trying and looking to get asylum other places. But the problem is with Interpol, the way that these strongmen are still using the system is for a lesser known system called blue notices. And blue notices, I'm not speculating, but it's possible, could be one of the ways they located this guy. Blue notices are basically, they're not red notices. It's not saying apprehend this person. So they're not investigating them as thoroughly. Any blue notice goes out immediately, and that's just looking for information on someone. So you're asking every other country to participate in finding someone, giving you information on who they are, what their aliases are, where they're hiding, how they can find them, right? And blue notices, the system isn't overhauled or changed in any way. So blue notices that come from people like Putin, Xi, it doesn't matter at this point. They can send them out and get information, and maybe they'll be caught and then taken off the blue notice list, but it's still a way that the system's being abused to find people fleeing countries like this. Right. And Interpol, they're electing a new leader of Interpol very soon. There's like a guy from Britain who's up, a guy from Pakistan, but it's a serious issue as conflicts in countries increase, especially where countries are so close together, like the EU. Like, how are they going to protect people that are fleeing?
And that's the other part. It's important to know that, like, Putin is aware of this, strongmen are aware of this, and they infiltrate places like Interpol, and they infiltrate other governments, and they try. That's why they're constantly trying to interfere in United States elections and donate to politicians in the United States. The stuff that you would think, a regular politician, maybe they take $100,000 from Russia, and then Russia says, hey, look, this is no big deal. It's just a blue notice. We just want to know if this person's around. And then they use that connection within the government to find out if this person's around. They get the blue notice, they get their location, and suddenly that person is gone. Like, Putin is no dummy, and these strongmen are no dummies. They infiltrate. And that's why it's so disgusting when you see American people parroting what Vladimir Putin is saying, celebrating the interview that he did with Tucker Carlson, celebrating the whitewashing that Tucker Carlson is doing for Vladimir Putin. That's why we're against this, because this man's goal is not to just have Russia be safe and have Russia be good. This man wants significant power all over the world, and he will infiltrate our systems, and he will lie to us. He's not a person who should ever be believed about anything, and frankly, he's not a person who should be heard. He lies so much, and he's so corrupt that CNN, other outlets that came out and were like, hey, just so you know, Tucker Carlson, we also asked for an interview. I would say shame on CNN. Also, he shouldn't be interviewed. That guy should not be given a microphone where he has unfettered access, because he's going to lie, and people with a political agenda are going to believe his lie. And suddenly we have this weird thing in America right now where like half of MAGA, maybe more than half of MAGA, are like Russian Putin apologists. He's accomplishing his
best,
goal.
Right? At best, they're apologists. At worst, when we see things like this, you're now complicit.
Yeah, this is
like,
his goal.
James Comer, you're a Russian operative. Congratulations.
And everybody who engages in it, same thing. This is the goal. You are a tool. You are a useful idiot for Vladimir Putin.
And imagine if Trump is in power. So that's why I was talking about the blue notices, right? We have people from Ukraine hiding seeking asylum in the U.S. He has blue notices out on all these people, and Trump's in power. Is our DOJ going to report where they are?
Probably.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we need to think. This is really scary. I mean, we're watching him in real time hunt people down who, in the case of this helicopter pilot, like, just didn't want to be responsible for a genocide of people he's closely related to and cares about. Or in Alexei Navalny's case, just wanted to be able to be in a free and fair election.
Well,
and we're watching in real time these people be eliminated.
And who do you think, just out of curiosity, Donald Trump is going to wind up owing, right now as it sits, $500 million. $500 million that he definitely doesn't have, and he definitely doesn't want to pay. Where's he going to get that money? And when he does get that money from overseas, because that's the only place he's going to get it, unless Elon's like going to donate him $500 million, which I guess could happen. Then what's going to happen? Like
the Saudis.
Then he owes,
maybe the Saudis.
Yeah, who's he going to owe? The Saudis? The Russians?
Yeah.
We have a
North Korea.
We have a president who is very open and prone right now to taking bribes from other countries. This is the moment, and I just want to say, if that loan, or not that loan, that penalty just winds up getting paid and nobody can figure out where it came from, well, we'll know, and then the election's too close, and by that time, Donald Trump's in office. He's cutting favors for the Russians, and he gets to block the investigation into himself. Like, this is what you guys are doing right now. Like, you are literally dancing with the devil. You're just like, I don't fucking care. Like, as long as Trump gets back in, we're good. Trump is entirely reliant on people like Vladimir Putin now, and the Saudis. He desperately needs them.
And he needs to replenish his reserves, like, right? He's losing all this money. We're going to put him in office, give him access to classified documents, which are information which is very valuable. And what? We're counting on him to do the right thing, which precedent says that he never does.
Yeah. Like, well, what has he done that?
I mean, like, is anybody else living in the same reality as me? I was like reading last night. It's like so easy to follow this. It's like, just everybody start with reading this 37 pages of Russian misinformation and disinformation that infiltrated our Congress to impeach the United States president in real time. And we're just sitting here like useful idiots.
Yeah. MAGA, first of all, MAGA's not going to read that because it's not really that much of an opinion article.
I'll draw pictures.
Yeah, somebody's going to need to illustrate it, make it a flip book or something. We're going to have to do something, and then just title it "Make America Great Again." I don't know what there is at this point. That was the conversation with David yesterday. I was like, what's the point of talking with you, man? Like, you don't know anything. I ask you details on things, but you're entirely convinced that a verdict's going to be overturned, that he's going to produce this evidence that you've never seen. I don't even know how to talk to those people anymore. Barrister whiteboard. I like that. Good idea.
Oh, I should get a whiteboard. That might be next in my teach. I could use a whiteboard to teach. Maybe that will help me explain this. Someone asked what this document is. What we're going over is just the connections between. This is Alexander Smirnov's indictment, the basis for the United States President Dark B's impeachment, which has turned out to all be a lie. Again, not an alleged lie. Like, his lies are detailed in here in conversations, and then the timeline of the lies doesn't match, and we find out that none of it can possibly be true. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the connections between that, Interpol, the unaliving of Putin's enemies, the attempt, it literally in this indictment, talks from Russians saying that they want to influence the U.S. election. That's what is in this indictment. Well, yes, facts. We do need a whiteboard. You're right.
I think at this point, the Republican strategy is really, really clear, and it's really transparent. Stretch out everything you possibly can. Every accusation against Joe Biden, like, make sure it takes as long as possible to get there. Keep just interviewing people. Like, don't start the impeachment. Don't do that. Just take your time. Impeach Mayorkas along the way. Stretch this out because you just need a cloud of suspicion over Joe Biden. That's the whole plan. The whole plan is that we need to have through 2024 a cloud of suspicion. If people even just think that Joe Biden is possibly corrupt and they're on the fence, maybe that'll shift it to a Trump vote. It's the most transparent plan, and that's what's sad is that everybody can see this plan. Everybody can see the transparency here. And nobody's really willing to have the courage to be like, you know what? I'm not going to play this fucking game anymore. Like, I'm not going to play Trump's game anymore. What do I get? What did you get that was better? Your stock market's higher now, unemployment's better now, inflation has dropped after COVID. Like, what does it really do to make your life better? Nothing. It's just going to mean you're right, and people would rather be right than do the right thing, and that's like that will be, as our country continues to struggle, that will be our downfall. People would rather be right than get it right.
That's a good way to say it. Amen. And yesterday, I don't know if I still have the clip. I don't think I do, but you can look it up. Like, it's really interesting. There were clips, like, I know we're not all watching Russian state media, but there are like professors and very intelligent people on Twitter who translate what's going on. And on Russian state media this weekend, they were actively mocking MAGA supporters, talking about how they're all like backwoods hicks. They have no idea what's going on. They're being manipulated. They were trashing Trump. I mean, these people are laughing at Americans and how they're manipulating us. Like, that's what's going on Russian state media. They're like, look at these fools that believe anything we say.
Right. Real quick, Amy sent a donation and said, this is for the engorgement fund. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. We love a good engorgement fund donation. Yeah, like to the rest of the world, and this is another thing that MAGA has done really well. It might have been that Ben Shapiro debate again. I can't remember what the debate I was watching, but MAGA, where they're like, oh, we were respected when we had Trump, and now everybody's laughing at Joe Biden. It's just, it's honestly the exact opposite. I am sure that there are people all around the world that recognize Joe Biden is very old, and I'm sure there are people that mock him for the same gaffes that we mock him here for. But what's not happening to Joe Biden is the rest of the world going, like, this guy's an obvious liar, and the people following him are just believing the most obvious lies. Like, how dumb are these people? That's
a puppet.
That's not the accusation against us. That's how the world feels about you. Because when you step out of the cult, it's so fucking easy to see a cult. It's so easy because everything is crazy. Like, everything is outlandish. Every claim requires like a big conspiracy theory. And when you look at your beliefs honestly, MAGA, that's what your beliefs are. It's a collection of conspiracy theories. It's a collection of things that you think that you say, I know is true, but you don't know if it's true. You don't have evidence. The debate last night I had with that, I kept trying to get her to just say, like, can you just admit you don't know this? Like, you and I both don't know this. I don't remember what it was about, but there was no evidence. It's like, you're making a claim. There's no evidence to back it up. I don't have any claim. I don't have any evidence that says it's not true, but you're saying you know. And by the way, in the cult that I was in, we were trained to say, I know, for things that we believed. I know Joseph Smith saw God the Father and his son, Jesus Christ. I know that he was a true prophet of God. I know our current prophet is the true prophet of God. I know the Book of Mormon is the word of God. Like, that's how we were taught to speak. Because when you say no, and then your beliefs are challenged, and you don't actually have an absolute knowledge of something, when your beliefs are challenged by them saying, like, do you really know, or are you just guessing? You've been conditioned to say no, so you have to just ignore any information that comes in that says, like, hey, maybe you don't know, maybe you are being tricked. You're not allowed to believe that you've been tricked, because again, you know, nobody else knows, but you had a feeling, so you know. You're conditioned to trust your feelings and to use powerful language like that when you're in a cult. And when you're outside of the cult, like we are, it's very easy to see how what you're doing is just participating in a cult.
And let's go, like, so this is, I don't know, probably everyone saw it, maybe, but Donald Trump, right? Would he respond? So you're a useful idiot of Russia. Putin has offed his number one political opponent in real time while we've all sat here watching. Do you think, what was Trump's comments on Alexei Navalny's death? Like, let's see what he finally posted, right? That happened last Thursday. Didn't it happen last?
Yeah.
It was like, or last, whenever. He finally posted yesterday.
I just want to preface it. Donald Trump was very thoughtful. This was a rare moment from Donald Trump where he was able to see past his own interpreted persecutions, his own belief that he's a victim. He really put himself in someone else's shoes. He really did a great job here with the talking about Navalny and that tragedy. But go ahead and read it, please.
The sudden death of Alexei Navalny has made me more and more aware of what is happening in our country.
Oh, okay.
It is
What's happening?
it's a slow, steady progression with crooked, radical left politicians, prosecutors, and judges leading us down a path to destruction. Open borders. Rigged election, open borders that he won't let anyone close.
Oh, God.
Rigged elections that he rigged, and grossly unfair court decisions. Oh yeah, you can't defraud people of hundreds of millions of dollars and get away with it. Oh yeah, you also can't sexually abuse women because a jury found you liable for it, and now you have to pay money for what you did.
Yeah, no, this is exactly analogous to what happened to Navalny. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So he's now saying, we're talking about a man who just wanted to be a participant in a democratic election in Russia, who was first poisoned, right? First they tried to dye his face green like 2 times, and then they poisoned him. Then he went back to Russia, went to prison. Exactly. He paints his face orange. Was daily tortured in prison. Ends up unalived in Siberia. And Trump's response is to think, I'm just like this man. Trump crawled up on his cross and crucified himself as a victim right alongside this man. Like, Alexei Navalny's name should not be uttered in the same sentence near Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't deserve it.
Do you know who John Lefebvre is?
No, but I do. Is he a leftist? Is he funny? Who is it?
He's a scam artist. He's like a wannabe Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, I do think I know who. Yeah. How do you spell the last name?
Lefevre. I think you say Lefebvre, right? Is that how you say that?
Lefe. Is it B?
Lefevre.
EVRE. Why is it coming up different?
John Lefebvre. Anyways, if you look at like his Twitter profile, his background is
the French.
It's just quotes from newspapers. Lefebvre is a pretty loathsome human being. Makes the Wolf of Wall Street look like a pussycat. But now he's on this because if you're a criminal and you need an audience, the best thing you can do is turn to the right. They love criminals. They
do. Yeah, they love themselves a criminal.
So here's what he's saying. It's a lie. Within hours of Navalny's death, his wife, in quotations, was photo opping with Kamala. Meanwhile, when he was stuck in a Siberian jail, she had already dumped him.
At a security conference where she was representing her husband, a world security conference where world leaders were meeting to talk about the threat and the unaliving and the jailing of Alexei Navalny. That's what she was doing with Kamala.
Well, the thing that you're forgetting, the thing that you don't realize, Felice, and it's not your fault. You just don't have the conspiracy brain for it. But what you don't understand is they planned this out decades in advance. So this planned Security Council meeting, they in the basement
of the White House where they
they had already planned this years in advance to coincide with a fake persecution of Navalny. They already did that. See, and I'm looking at the picture. I don't even know if that's really Kamala and really. What's her first name? I don't know. Miss Navalny. I don't remember what her first name is. Yeah, it's just a staged photo op. I need you to know that. This is now imagine a criminal, former multi-millionaire. Because no one could
just look up that security conference and look at her speech.
Turned right-wing grifter. Yeah. Why do you think a criminal conspiracy, or I guess a criminal who needs an audience went from financial crimes to now defending Putin, now putting out pro-Putin propaganda? Why? Now, could he be being paid? Maybe. Could he also just recognize there's an audience there? Like, why do you guys keep thinking that the people who got caught doing fraud, Donald Trump, Wolf of Wall Street, like, why do you think these people who were willing to lie about everything suddenly are telling the truth? Suddenly, like, they don't have an agenda. These people who were driven entirely by money and who have come out of jail and are making a lot of money again now, why do you think that these people have changed and now they're telling the truth? No, they just know like what they can and can't get away with, and this is an easier grift. Just sit up on Twitter and lie. There's no repercussions for that. Teresa sent a donation and said, for no announcement. Thank you, Teresa. That was a very generous donation. We really appreciate this.
Thank you, Teresa. And just to speak, I mean, just to draw the line of logic further, you know, yesterday Trump was ranked the worst president in history, or the day before. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's dumb.
It's not dumb. It's historians. We're talking about someone who tried, like.
Wait, hold on. I'm just saying it's dumb because it's like it doesn't prove anything, but it's an interesting read. It's dumb in the point of political discussion. Like, don't use that in a political debate, but it is a good story, and it's historians saying how they look at Trump.
Well, it's important to know this is a survey by historians and political scientists. It's very easy to understand, actually, if you understand world history and political science, foreign policy, why Trump would be ranked last. He tried to undo our democracy. It's very simple. Like the cornerstone, the foundation that the Constitution is built on, this man tried to disable it.
And I would say the three things you just mentioned, that it's easy to understand if you understand foreign policy, history, and I don't remember what else it was. But also I'd throw in the ability to read and comprehend. Those are not traits that are found a lot in MAGA. And so I think that's probably why it's confusing for them.
So and just to give like an idea of how this happened. So the survey, which included 154 usable responses from experts. So these were historians or political scientists in presidential politics, right? So they're just sending out a list of questions and asking people based on those questions to rate the presidents, right? Out of 100. So no one's talking with each other. It's not like a consensus. These are all individual people in their own house, like thinking about these answers and rating it. And then after doing that, it was revealed that Trump's average rating was a 10.92 out of 100.
And these aren't, to be clear, these are not golf scores where lowest score wins.
Yeah, it is not.
Okay.
This placed him well below any other president, with James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, Franklin Pierce, William Henry Harrison, and Warren Harding rounding out the bottom ranks, but none quite reaching the depths of Trump's unpopularity. The survey determined Abraham Lincoln to be the greatest president in American history. And I can't remember, Biden was like, I don't know, was he like 11 or he
14.
14, yeah, he's somewhere, like fair, you know, and his president, it's only been 4 years, right? Like, he's very much modeling his presidency after FDR, which I think is pretty cool. So FDR really came in strong in those second 4 years. So we haven't even begun to see, I mean, we have begun to see our economy turning around, but we haven't even begun to see like the long-term effects of what Dark B will create. So, and interesting read. It was an interesting read, and I think everybody should read it. And it gives good context of how people whose job it is to see this stuff and to study this stuff. It gives an interesting view on how they like. Remember, these are people who don't only understand how our government is supposed to operate, but they also understand like the art of politics, right? They understand the ability to use, or I guess be political. I don't know how to like use your political tools in a way that best suits the country. So it's really interesting to hear from experts in this way. But perhaps the best thing is that 100% chance Donald Trump read this and it made him mad. Maybe didn't read it, saw it. Oh, it was all over Fox News. They were losing. Everybody on the right has seen this. But like, have they read the survey? Do they understand like the intricacy of it? Absolutely not. They just heard that Trump was rated the worst. It's actually in many different ways. It's not like one question.
And here's why they're all freaking out. Again, this is the cult mentality, and I'm going to point this out whenever I can. They all say, they don't say Donald Trump was a good president. They don't say he was a flawed president. They don't say he's top 5. They all say repeatedly the best president. The best president of our lifetime. Some say the best president in American history, the greatest economy in American history. They decorate him with that flowery language and they position him as literally the greatest. So when they rank him at the bottom, and it's the exact opposite of what they've been saying, they think that it's crazy. They think it's crazy that anybody would rank Donald Trump at the bottom. But if you have any, like Felice said, if you have any understanding of history and how politics work, how government works, you recognize that he was a deeply, deeply flawed president. His administration was a sieve. It bled people. Nobody ever stuck around.
He added 25% to our national debt. Like, yeah, come on, this man ruined our country. Like, Nikki Haley, the only true thing she says is, like, our children will never forgive us for what Trump did during his 4 years.
Yeah, but they'll also never forgive you when you endorse him, Nikki.
That exactly, and therein lies the irony of Nikki Haley. But she's going to vote for him and pardon him, is what we learned from her in her town hall.
It's a hard thing to see when you see somebody. We've all seen this with HVAC and some other creators, where you think like they've turned a corner. And then they just fall back in, like they go spend some more time with right wingers, and they get re-indoctrinated, right?
Yeah.
You try and pull them out with stats, with
how many times did you try to leave your cult before you made it out?
I did it on the first time. But
I mean, like, when you know how you're starting to consider, like, I feel like with evangelicalism, like, I knew there were things, right? Because I was born the way I am, like, attracted to men and women. Like, I knew there were things that led me to understand, like, okay, what I'm being taught, like, this goes against who I fundamentally am as a human, and that doesn't make sense. Like, I had many of those moments, and I think, like, there are those moments, like you're saying, for people on the right, where they realize, okay, you're right, people are telling me something, and it doesn't make sense. But then they go back into the cult.
Yeah, so for me, it was a little like for me, I realized I was given evidence that the foundation of the cult wasn't true. So at that point, I knew it wasn't true. But what you're talking about is the deprogramming and the destruction, deconstruction, or whatever they call it, of your beliefs, and that was the hard part. That was the part that I was talking to Jones this morning about an idea we had that we're working on together. That's part of like deconstructing when you come out of a cult, when you come out of even the MAGA, is that there's a lot of things that are going to be that you think are universal truths that you would never have second guessed ever, and there's going to come a time when you're like, oh no, maybe I am bigoted, like maybe I do have some phobia, maybe I do have some biases here that I thought were based statistically, but now I can recognize in myself. That was the hard part, and that continues. But that's the truth about Donald Trump and this MAGA movement, is that when he goes away, it's going to be a really difficult process, and it's going to be on us to
power vacuum.
Yeah, it's going to be on us to be very forgiving. And it's going to be on us to be very open-minded and to have a lot of discussions. And you and I have talked about this privately as we've talked about why it's difficult to get opposition. We both recognize in ourselves that there are times we don't let the opposition talk enough because we know what they're going to say. But like, it's going to be on us to open our arms to that. That's what happened to me. There were people who let me make mistakes. It's all you guys, mostly. You guys have seen me do it. You've seen me say things I shouldn't have said. And we're able to talk to me about it privately and keep progressing. But that's what we're going to have to do when Trump is gone and this MAGA movement implodes, because like you said, it'll be a power vacuum. There's going to be crazy people who try and consolidate that power. And it's on us, if we want to make our country great again, that maybe we have to open our arms up to those people, and maybe we have to be a little bit lenient in private when they say crazy things, to not immediately just call them a bigot, because some of that stuff is just programming.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I think is really we need to take away, and everyone needs to fully grasp about what happened with this, like a bunch of experts, right? So historians and political scientists, very intelligent people, intellectuals, if you want to say, filled out a survey, right? That news came out. And what you saw on Fox was, oh, intellectuals did this and this. So I want you to know, one of the tenets of fascism is discrediting intellectuals. That is literally one part of it, is discrediting intelligence, discrediting the pursuit of knowledge. They want to keep the masses dumb.
Metropolitan Jews, not Jews, metropolitan Jews. That's what was said in Germany. It was the
exactly.
It was the educated,
the worldly ones. Yes, yeah. The worldly, the intellectuals that were the problem. That's the rhetoric that starts in fascism. If you saw the fascist rhetoric yesterday on Fox about this, This is what's wrong with the intellectuals. This is why people shouldn't go to college. Yes, make sure the American people are as dumb as possible. What we are watching is the failure of the American education system. That's why we're in this situation, is the complete failure of the American education system to install a pursuit of knowledge in people, a pursuit of the truth. Like, and just notice, the reason I wanted to bring up the article is not so we can be like, Trump's the worst president. I think we all intrinsically can make that determination because we're living through this nightmare day to day. But it's more to point out the rhetoric that came after that was fascist. Fox spent the day being fascists, discrediting intellectuals, not saying, hey, let's look at this survey. This was a non-biased survey. These people weren't together in a group discussing this. All of these educated people around the world are suspiciously saying the exact same thing about the facts. Maybe we should look into why.
Right. And their point of view is not the same point of view as yours. Right? No, not yours as in you, because you have a very similar point of view. But they're looking at this, again, from a historical and political aspect. They're looking at it for what it is, not what their biases are, not what their opinions are, like not what their party affiliation is. They're looking at like the success of a president and how they measure success. And they're going to measure success by like, were you able to unite? Were you able to get policy passed? Were you able to do things that further progressed our country, that made our country better? Like, they're looking at it strictly from almost like a scoreboard mentality. This doesn't have to do with partisanship. The thing about Donald Trump is his record will stay forever, and he will likely be at the bottom for a long time. His record is not a record that will age well. The further we get away from it, the more unremarkable it actually is. And if based on the metrics he has, like first president in our lifetime to have a net loss in jobs. Yeah, that's COVID. Fine. Like, you can blame it on COVID. But he also divided our country more than ever. Was that COVID's fault? He started this migration problem that we have at our southern border. Was that COVID's fault? No, COVID actually gave him protection. COVID actually allowed him to pretend he didn't start it. He initiated a coup. Not just the coup in Venezuela, but the coup here in our government. He wanted to undo the election. No other president in history has done that.
And one in Brazil. I mean, look what he did with Bolsonaro. Like, it's like we're all watching this, pretending it's not happening. Like, and just know, like, to just extend the fascist idea here. Discrediting intellectuals is the start of fascism. Discrediting universities, not allowing universities to teach CRT, to teach the history of slavery to AP high school students, to literally change history to be a softer narrative of the truth. This is fascism in real time. We are watching it. When people start controlling the information we are allowed to take in, right? And the next place we want to go with this, did you see the article I put up about in Maryland? They have to do a law now to make books legal. That's where we're at now, making books legal.
I want to point out, when you say it's a failure of our education system, like, I think the most glaring example is how many people don't understand the difference between, and I didn't know this till a few years ago, racism and systemic racism. And if that was taught in schools, the difference between racism and systemic racism, you wouldn't have all of these people saying, well, I don't want my kid feeling guilty for what his ancestors did. That's not systemic racism, right? Systemic racism isn't about feeling guilty. It's not about even placing blame. It's about literally looking at our systems and saying, this system operates in a manner that is racist. We need to fix the system so that the outcomes aren't racist. That is literally taking all personhood out of it. Systemic racism is removing personhood and saying, like, the system itself, like, no matter who's in it, is it still going to give these outcomes? If yes, then yeah, we've got to change things. But most Republicans don't know the difference between racism and systemic racism. That's that's a massive failure on our part, because we spend most of our time arguing that point. When a Republican hears systemic racism and they're like, I didn't ever have any privilege, like, that's not related. There's no relation between your privilege and systemic racism. But we can't even get through, like, the most simple things, and that's because just the word racist makes Republicans go, I don't want you to know what my grandparents did. I don't want you to know. Nobody can know. It'll make me feel bad.
And systemic racism, like, is ingrained in all of us also. It's not about what color you are. We all have things to dismantle, to acknowledge within ourselves. When you grow up, when you are indoctrinated into a system, like Jay is saying, that is inherently provides racist outcomes, we are hardwired to be desensitized to that and to think it's normal. And it's all of our jobs as humans to be educated, right? We have a failure to educate about systemic racism and to notice it, to notice how has it affected our own personal lives and our own personal thinking, and to acknowledge that. That's the journey of deconstructionism that we all need to be on. And back to the fascist way.
That message shouldn't be, that is not a partisan message. That is not something that should offend anybody. That is not something that people should be opposed to. It's literally just saying like, hey, we need to make sure that whatever we do, we don't discriminate. Who would not agree with that? Who would not agree? Even out of all your
Stephen Miller.
Yeah, Stephen Miller would disagree. He just wants it. He'd agree, but he'd be like, "But we got to have ethno states. We can do that, but not. We got to have ethno states." Like everybody would agree with that, but we can't even get to that point because the divisiveness of the right on race issues is just insane.
Yeah, because Charlie Kirk is. We can't get to that point because Charlie Kirk. Like, so this article, it's called "We Now Have to Pass Laws to Protect the Freedoms We Thought We Had." Like, this is where we're at. The Freedom to Read Act. That's where we're at in America, people. The Freedom to Read Act of Maryland is proposed to protect books and librarians. Like, do you understand that librarians are facing charges, are worried they're going to be brought up on charges for allowing people to have books? We have Ron DeSantis giving a press conference and saying, I got to walk this book ban back because I have Moms of Liberty people demanding 200 books each be taken off the shelf, and there's no books left. This is where we are now. There's no books left in libraries. We're trying to bring up librarians on charges.
It shouldn't be understated how big of a deal something has to be for Ron DeSantis to walk it back. Like, Ron DeSantis doesn't walk back anything. He has defended some of the dumbest positions I've ever heard. If Ron DeSantis is walking something back, it's really fucking bad. Like, really, really fucking bad.
And who's suffering from this, right? Like, I'll say this over and over again. No offense to all of us, but, like, you know, the trauma has been embedded us. We're just barely trying to survive. But, like, who we should be protecting in all things are America's children. This is like the great hope of our country. We have these children going to school terrified. Is this the day the mass tragedy is coming to my school? How can you focus on learning when you're terrified you might not make it out of school? Then we're telling them, oh, by the way, you can't actually read any books. That's wrong. Oh, by the way, whoever you are, whoever you're coming to believe you are, it's not okay to talk about that in school. This is what we're doing because we're all playing these weird culture war games. Who it's affecting are the only people we should be protecting, America's youth. We are failing them at every turn. Every night we go to sleep, know that we are failing America's youth.
I've never seen, there's never been a time in my life that the youth were actually being targeted. That's the thing. Like, it's, if we were doing nothing, that would be far better than what Republicans are doing. Republicans are actually targeting children. They have repeatedly, people like libs of TikTok, they have repeatedly put children in danger. Somebody sent me this story earlier today, and I'm gonna make a TikTok about it. But let me find. Do you know the story?
Oh, guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 200K. We need to keep working out our fingers while talking. It'll help. Tap Jay's face. Everyone, tap Jay's face.
Let's see if I. Oh yeah.
She said.
Do you know about Next Benedict?
The Eggs Benedict I know about, no. But not Next Benedict.
It's okay. So Next Benedict is a 16-year-old non-binary person from Oklahoma. They were brutally beaten at school, and then the following day passed away. Nobody.
When was this?
This was is modified yesterday. When did the original? So this was on February 7th.
Oh, great. And you know, just to follow the line of logic, we've been tracking, what's his name? Ryan Walters, the superintendent of Oklahoma Public Instruction, the man that has a witch hunt. He's coming up with a secret network of spies to locate gay and lesbian teachers and root them out that doesn't believe that the transgender community should be like in the general population in public schools. This is who is responsible for this happening in a school. He is encouraging violence against marginalized communities daily.
And it gets worse. Next, Benedict, let's see, the school authorities claimed that they were unaware of the brutal, first of all, they called it a brutal fight. It was a beating. This was not a fight. It was a beating. Until Benedict was admitted to the hospital. At around 3:30 p.m., authorities responded to Bailey Medical Center after Next Benedict's mother reported the incident to them. So this wasn't reported until got to the hospital, and his mother had to report it to the police. According to a police report, though, a school resource officer was made aware of the physical interaction. A GoFundMe fundraiser that was initiated to cover Nex's funeral expenses raised $27,836. I would like to again point out the absurdity that when Americans are the victims of violent crimes, they rely on other Americans' generosity to pay their medical bills because we don't have universal health care. The police report revealed that Benedict was again taken to the hospital the next day, where they eventually passed away. Complications from brain trauma, head trauma is what caused it. I know at one point one of the girls was pretty much repeatedly beating their head across the floor. Next couldn't walk to the nurses' stations on their own, and staff didn't call the ambulance, which amazes me. I apologize if I misgender. A lot of these statements are misgendering Next, and I'm trying. If I say she, I apologize, but some of these are misgendering her. Next, Benedict's best friend's mom further disclosed that 3 older girls allegedly beat them up. She further added that Benedict was initially discharged on Wednesday evening, but had to be admitted the following day. The Owasso Police Department has not confirmed led to Benedict's death. Owasso Police Department stated that they are currently waiting for medical reports of the victim before revealing additional information. The Owasso Police Department has notified district leaders of the death of an Owasso High School student. As this is an active police investigation, we will have no additional comment at this time. Further inquiries should be directed at the Owasso Police Department. Now, I just want, where do you think these 3 girls who brutally beat up Next Benedict, where do you think they got the idea that being a non-binary person was wrong, and that being a non-binary person was a problem? Where do you think they got that idea? Do you think intrinsically they just know that? No, they've been taught this, and it's being echoed by the legislators in their state, by the politicians in their state, by the national politicians.
Here's an article that has his picture. The guy I'm talking about, Ryan Walters, that's responsible for this, the superintendent of public instruction. This is in The Advocate, which is a LGBTQ friendly publication. It's called the article, if anyone wants to look it up, because they have his picture like next to the hearse, which is fair. You know what I mean? Oklahoma transgender student dies after allegedly assaulted by students at school. It's in The Advocate, and they should have his picture front and center, because that's who's responsible for this. Ryan J. Walters, superintendent of public instruction of Oklahoma schools, who literally puts out propaganda. I have a clip of him today that I was going to play of him that's all he does is incite rage and violence.
I want to bring AJ up for just a second. He probably has some context that we're not thinking of. AJ. AJ, you there? You're muted.
Yeah, hi, sorry. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, the stuff that happened with Nex, the whole thing was started because the moderator for the account Libs of TikTok targeted their area. And in the bathroom...
What do you mean they were going around to? What do you mean they targeted their area?
Where we were talking about the swattings that were happening at schools because of and they were tying. We read that article about how like Libs of TikTok, they were tying like swatting, like SWAT teams showing up to schools to like Libs of TikTok and different posts they were making in different areas around the country. And like I know Florida and Oklahoma were 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant, AJ?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
So they were using the bathroom and they were like beat to like unconsciousness by these girls. The school held them in like the nurse's room, didn't call like Their parents didn't alert like authorities, didn't call EMS, ambulance, anything. They were forced to stay at school in pain, like floating in and out of consciousness.
Yeah, do you know what? Did you say what time the altercation happened or the beating?
Yeah, it happened during the day at school. That's what I'm looking at, and then after school, the grandmother took Nex to the hospital. So
we're talking hours.
They released the teenager.
Hours.
Well, they released Nex. They went back the next day after Benedict became ill, and then Benedict died that evening.
Yeah, just trying to figure out how long Nex had to sit in the school after this. And you're saying hours?
Yeah,
Her grandmother took her later. It sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, and like they were like told to go home like how they normally would. So after being beaten and like held in the school for hours without anybody being notified of what was going on, which first of all is not legal whatsoever. If stuff like that happens at school, it's literally universal school policy that somebody is notified. And because of like the severity of the head trauma they experienced, they unfortunately, passed away the next day in the hospital. And so far from what I've seen, I'm not sure if anybody has been charged.
The police, statement is today the 20th? Yeah, so the police statement today was that there's an ongoing investigation, but they're not releasing any information.
You? Oh my God, we're in a nightmare. We're in a little. And again, Ryan J. Walters, superintendent of Oklahoma Public Instruction, he does rants in his car and in his office and posts them. And one of the most common rants is that rhetoric about who is allowed in which bathroom. So if you're curious why these children felt empowered to do something like this, this is the violent rhetoric this man's spewing.
And is it true that the students who beat Nex have not been suspended?
No, yeah, that's true.
They're still just, Jesus Christ, fucking Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I'm just, the thing is that Nex was following, like, they were AFAB, right? So they were using the girls' washroom, which is, law, because there was nowhere else for them to go.
Remind me what AFAB is?
Assigned female.
Assigned female at birth.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, so they were doing what they were supposed to be doing according to the laws. And because of it, they had their life taken from them. And this is the reality of like bathroom, like banning trans kids and non-binary kids from using the bathroom that they prefer, because this is going to keep happening. And it's
looks like libs of TikTok targeted this exact school district in a tweet that's now been deleted.
Yep, and I
can't. It's sickening. It's sickening.
I saw today on Twitter that
children. This is a child.
Yeah. The moderator for Libs of TikTok released a tweet today saying, like, somebody has doxed me, so I'm going to dox them back, essentially. And, stuff like this keeps happening. More of, like, our trans community is going to keep getting unalived. And it's bleeding up into Canada, too. Like, I have to flee Alberta soon. And I quite literally have nowhere else to go other than Newfoundland, because that's where my only family is. And Newfoundland is arguably worse than Alberta. But they haven't passed any trans legislation yet, so I'm hoping it stays that way. But as it stands right now, I'm not safe in my province.
We love and care about you so much.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this to the people who demonize you have a community who says like we want to just be who we are, and we're not asking anything from you. We just want to be left alone, essentially. And and they're being told that not only not only will we refuse gender affirming care, which helps people from wanting to unalive themselves, but if we do allow gender affirming care, then it appears that those same conservatives are just going to do the unaliving themselves. Like, that's what they're saying here. Like, you guys, like, we're not going to allow you guys to live. We either you do it or we do it. Like, this, it's absolutely fucking gutting. This is a child. These are humans. These are people. Why does anybody give a fuck what anybody wants to identify as? Why?
And all of these bathroom laws have been passed under the guise of protecting the children. But when it comes down to it, children are dying because of it. Children are being unalived because of this. Like in Edmonton recently, city near me, I think I've mentioned this once before, but late last year, a 16-year-old like trans kid went missing, and I have heard nothing about it since. No body has been found as far as I know. Investigations went nowhere. They're just completely gone. And it's been happening more, especially in like my province. And it's fucking heart-wrenching because I started my medical transition when I was 16. And like I passed well enough that I feel somewhat safe being in public, but every time I am out like walking or going for a cigarette or hanging out with my friends, if I'm in public, I do get yelled at. I get called the F slur. I get called the T slur. I have been screamed at and told to unalive myself. Like, this is our reality now, and it's only been like this for the last maybe 5 years.
Yeah, this is a nightmare. This is we're in a slow motion nightmare. And you got to think, just as a teacher, you just have to understand, like, when I hear children come into a classroom and start spewing hate, like, teachers aren't thinking, I'm not like, oh, something's wrong intrinsically with this child. I'm thinking, oh, I know exactly what the beliefs are that this child is being taught at home. And I don't even have to say at home, because Ryan J. Walters, the superintendent, the secretary of public instruction in Oklahoma, is teaching these lessons on the internet. That if someone's in the wrong bathroom, people have the right to defend themselves. Like, this is his own rhetoric. Like, these children now, we have 3 children who beat someone until they died a day later. Like, I mean, where did they get the idea that this was acceptable in our culture? That's what we need to ask ourselves. The message those children have is they're defending their rights or whatever they think they're doing, and that's okay to literally unalive another child during the school day. This is what's going on.
And I think the most heartbreaking part of the situation is if they weren't denied medical care the day of, they would probably still be alive.
I hope that guy is named in the lawsuit. I hope Ryan Walters is specifically named. Like, where's the ACLU? We need to sue the school district. We need to sue the state of Oklahoma. Ryan J. Walters needs to be named in that suit. Like, this is unbelievable. And
ironically, Jen sent this to me. Libs of TikTok is just out there on Twitter saying that she's been reliably informed that because some people are blaming this on her, that this is stochastic terrorism. Libs of TikTok has figured out a way that a child loses their life and she is the victim. Because that's what Republicans are, is they're just perpetual victims, and they get really upset if anybody steals their light as a victim. And in every scenario, they will figure out a way to be the victim. It's disgusting. Like, why, if you're Libs of TikTok, shut the fuck up.
For once.
Like, always. Like, this is... we're all sick of you. You're disgusting. But, could just one time you do the right thing? Just one fucking time you not make it about you? You not make it about, like, how you're so persecuted? Like, you made a fortune off of
other people's pain.
Putting children in danger. That's how you literally make your living, by endangering children. And you want to show up and be like, I'm a victim. She's trafficking in hatred. She's trafficking in violence. That's what she's doing, and she has the audacity to show up and be the victim. And Republicans all over the place, conservatives all over this country will honestly believe, like, oh yeah, she's the victim here. That will be the story that they tell. You don't think that this will be on Fox News, and that Fox News, by trying to report all sides, is not going to focus their entire coverage on people who are like libs of TikTok? AJ, I just want you to know, obviously, we've been friends for a while. I love you. Miss Julie sent a message saying, make sure she knows that we love him too. And I also recognize that our love and our support doesn't change the reality that you're a target. And I hope you know that we understand that and we love you. And I wish there was more we could do for not only you, but for your community.
We got to get the VC going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we have a date scheduled for the first week in March.
Awesome.
Me and Craig and Chris decided that we wanted to wait until after February, just so Black History Month and stuff like that.
I mean, can I give you a plug real quick? I just want to say this. You listen to AJ speak, and obviously there's pain there. There's a lot of stuff AJ has dealt with. But AJ is one of the few people I know who consistently reaches across the aisle and tries to get people who are not on his side to just understand that he's a human. And I would challenge any conservative that's in here, like, rather than just continuing down that road of what you believe, like, just reach out to somebody who's open and who has lived this life and who's had to deal with these types of things. I applaud AJ. Like, AJ is in fear every day, and yet he shows up when every once in a while he needs a break, but shows up every day and fights that same battle to hopefully make the world a better place for others. Like, AJ's already dealt with a lot of this stuff. He can't go back and change that, but advocating for others while you're dealing with your own pain is so admirable. And I hope you know I admire you and I respect you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And on this note, today is actually my hormone shot day. So I'm going to hop down, let you guys continue your conversation, and I'm going to go do that right now.
Yeah, appreciate your perspective.
Thank you so much.
Shot day.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya. Got it.
Yeah, again, children. I just want to make it clear. These are children trying to attend school to get an education. This is, you know what I mean? This is where we're at in America. And then, like you said, and then we have the people on the far right making themselves the victims. We have somebody in a casket.
Yeah.
And still, they are victimizing themselves. They are the victim. It's, yeah, exactly. Charge the parent. Where are the parents? Bring in the parents. Like, yeah. Because we have 3 girls who were empowered to do this.
If a superintendent, if a legislator, if anybody involved in the school had instituted a rule, let's just say, like, it wasn't about LGBTQ, but they instituted a rule, and because of that rule, children were losing their lives, or children at the very least were being targeted, harassed, maybe physically beaten, which is certainly happening all across Oklahoma. If it wasn't about trans people, that person would be immediately removed. The rules would be undone, and that person would be removed and possibly charged. But because this is a political issue, when it's not a political issue, it's a human rights issue. Because it's a political issue, nothing's going to happen. That's what happens when you make human rights a political issue. That's what happens when you try and keep human rights from people. Humans get to be treated like non-humans because you're telling your constituents that they are not the same human as you and I. They're a different type of human, and they don't deserve the type of respect and the type of rights that you and I deserve.
Facts. Like, that is that again, here we are at fascism, the othering, right? That's what nationalism is about, saying we are this and othering others, othering groups of people. And then once you identify the others, you dehumanize them, right? If they're not, it's not a big deal, right? Because they weren't a human anyways. That's the place we're at in America.
What's that Yoda quote? Fear leads to violence, violence leads to hatred.
I haven't seen Star Wars.
Something like that. But it's true. Like, keep in mind, this all stems from fear. This all stems from people not being comfortable with others that they don't understand, and that fear it then turns into justification. That justification turns into hatred, and that hatred turns into action.
And think about when these girls went home, these 3 girls. Are they in trouble? Or were their parents right? Oh, justified. That was a justified thing you did. Think about it. If you went home, we're like, oh, as a result of my actions, someone's no longer on this earth. Like, and they're like, yeah, great job. You did what Ryan Walters said to do. Like, it's...
That's the problem, yeah. Like, those, you think those parents don't think that was justified? And you don't think they're going to make that argument? And then we're going to, when this inevitably goes to court, like, that's going to be the defense? You realize that, right? Like, that will be the defense. I don't remember... I watched something...
It really will be the children's defense, for sure. Like...
Somebody's going to have to help me with this law, but there was a similar case to this where there was a trans girl and this guy, I want to say it was in Pennsylvania, I don't remember where it is. I just watched it this weekend, but teenagers, they met up, they hooked up, and then the guy just unalived this teenager, this trans girl, and then that was his defense. And there was some rule, but because he was religiously opposed to people being trans, you can use that as justification of force, right? And that was how he wound up getting murder 2 instead of murder 1, is he was able to use that as a justification. Somebody can help me with the name of that law. I'm sure somebody else knows it, but there's a specific name of the law that now they're advocating that they get rid of. I don't know if you guys, if anybody knows this story.
I'm not sure. If I knew, I would say it, but yeah, like I don't know. This is just crazy. It's crazy. And someone said in the comments, if you haven't heard about this, that's by design. Jen, thank you for saying that. I mean, very much so. Imagine, just picture, like, anytime there's a mass tragedy, if you will, and if the shooter has ties to the LGBTQ community in any way, they are sure, right, to point that out, to make sure we know that fact. But when a child...
Trans-panic law is what it's called. Trans-panic law.
Okay, I need to look that up. But yeah, when we have children just trying to go to school, get their education, who are no longer with us, we don't hear about that. That shouldn't be national news. This is the man, Ryan J. Walters, who's instituted PragerU in the schools in Oklahoma. PragerU, I've seen several episodes of PragerU even before we started talking about it, like putting it in schools. One of the episodes I had the pleasure of seeing was Dennis Prager explaining that the statistics for SA aren't real. Men are just trying to be nice to women, and women need to get over it. So I can't imagine what the teachings are probably like about the transgender community, because women, with what's being taught at PragerU, we have no shot to survive. Like, just know that.
I'm looking at the map from this trans-panic map too. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14
I
states.
remember the Jenny Jones showcast, yes.
Only 14 states prohibit using that defense. So that's 36 states. It's 36. No, prohibit. So 36
Oh, prohibit.
states.
Okay, so
it's who exactly you think? Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Colorado, Illinois, New York. Yeah, and
decency.
And believe it or not, most of the Midwest, all of the South, all of the. Oh, I should have done submit feedback there. I just got a harassment warning, which is crazy. All of the South allows it. So I appreciate you guys reporting our live for telling true stories, though. I like that. Anyways, I derailed the whole thing, but I wanted to cover that. Reen or Renee, again, I never know, sorry, says, where's the Discord
I think it's
link?
Renee. It's Renee.
It's R-E-N-E.
Or I have an aunt actually named Rini, because if you're Spanish.
Okay, well, it appears to be 2 men in the profile picture. That's why I'm confused.
Mean? Well,
it appears to be, and it's R-E-N-E, and there's no little squiggle. What's that squiggle called?
It's Renee.
It is?
Is that what? Well, you said, yeah, it's Renee.
It is? Okay. Thank you.
Like I'm saying, you're saying accent on the last syllable.
Accent's the word I'm looking for. There we go. Where's the Discord link? Watch for Jen. Jen's going to post her name, or you can just shoot me a DM, and I will send you the Discord link. You can't really put it in the comments. It doesn't work that way.
Rene Descartes. Yeah, that's exactly philosopher. One of the best.
I'm just saying, I just want to make sure I get it right. Is Reen a name? Is Reen a way?
That I'm aware of at this time.
I'm not a linguist. I apologize. I'll be better. I'll try and be better. We're going to go with Rene for now. All right, let's get to another story.
Oh my gosh, I feel like bursting into tears. Where is the justice in this world? Sorry, that was just. Oh, here, let's play the clip I had. I can't even remember what it's about, but I had a clip loaded up to play today of this man, Ryan J. Walters. Let's see what his latest discriminatory fascist lesson is that he wanted to give us yesterday.
President Trump.
President Trump
is a great example.
His first words, President Trump. Here we go. Like, this is what Donald Trump is responsible for, the hate.
President Trump. This is a great example of the radical woke college professors and what they're trying to teach our kids. They want to tell our kids that every conservative president was terrible and every left-wing president was amazing. So in Oklahoma, we're going to make sure that our kids understand presidential greatness is based on how the country performed while presidents were in office and not based on what a leftist woke college professor says makes a great president.
Yeah, so that's fascism, what you just heard there. That was fascist rhetoric.
Let's teach that. Let's teach our kids what happened to the country while the president was in office. I agree with him. He just is fucking stupid because you're going to get the same thing. Like, you're still going to get... if you look at any presidential ranking and you look at, like, you can look on economic indicators, however you want to look at it, Donald Trump is nowhere near the top.
He was a history teacher? Someone saying Ryan J. Walters was a history teacher before... God... We need people who live in Oklahoma to run for local elections, for school board, for state legislature. This is... Children are not alive anymore. That's how serious it is. If you're in Oklahoma and you have a sense of right and wrong, you need to run in a local election and save the children from right. Somebody run against this man. What is wrong with this man? Sorry. Like, I might have to move to Oklahoma
that whole statement,
and just stand outside of his office with a sign.
That whole statement is just fucking gobbledygook. Like, he didn't say anything there. Is he making an accusation that we don't tell people what presidents do? Like, what about Abraham Lincoln? Do they not teach what Abraham Lincoln did? Do we not already eliminate the history of presidents all the time? Do we not always leave out the bad parts of them all the time? Do we teach everything about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson? No, we leave out shit all the time. Not need to whitewash their history. We need being honest about their history and making sure we know that everybody, like, it does not take a god to be president. It takes somebody that people want to vote for, and that can be a regular ass person, that can be a successful person, that can be somebody that doesn't have any financial success. It doesn't matter. But that's the problem. We put these people up on a pedestal to the point where we can't criticize what they actually did. We can't tell true histories. And then they get mad about the presidents in real time when we're telling true histories of them. Like,
it's
their problem with
right.
honesty. That's their biggest problem. They don't like honest critiques of what people do. They want propaganda. They don't want honesty. And what they're calling wokeness is literally just telling the goddamn truth. That's it.
Yeah, if you're living in reality, you are woke. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, Ryan J. Walters is spewing fascist rhetoric and saying, if, Donald Trump's the greatest, he can't be questioned. That's the story we're going to tell. And if anyone questions it, if anyone brings up a different story, then I'm going to demonize them. I'm going to dehumanize them. I'm going to other them. That's what I mean, it's so right in our faces. Like, this is where we're at. We have in Maryland, they're passing laws to make sure to protect books now. We have to protect books. We have to protect librarians from people like Ryan J. Walters, who would have us all at PragerU for all eternity. Like, it's so scary. And someone brought up the Let me see if I can find the article. Did you hear about, is it in Alabama that embryos were ruled as humans now, or people?
Yeah, somebody sent that yesterday. I think it was Alabama. Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild.
That puts me, like, I have 2 frozen embryos that at some point I can choose whether
those are 2 humans. You have 2 humans.
Yeah, so I can choose whether to dispose of them or donate them from science. Would that take away my, like, am I now required to pay for the storage of those embryos for as long as I live?
Yeah. Are you going to be charged with unalive?
Yeah. Okay.
We don't. Alabama won't. I just want to clarify. This is the state that is defying the Supreme Court, the conservative Supreme Court, and trying to not redraw their voting map so that they don't disenfranchise African American voters, but save the embryos. Oh, this is where we're at, people.
This is just a good reminder that if you want to easily identify a fascist, there's really 7 pretty simple ways, and this is just a good reminder that this is a fascist movement. Number 1, powerful and continuing expression of nationalism. How many times have you heard, liberals just hate America, Joe Biden hates America, but we love America. Disdain for the importance of human rights. We're seeing that all over this country, and we're talking about it for the last 45 minutes. I don't think we need to get into that. Identification of enemies as scapegoats as a unifying cause.
Tap, tap, tap.
FJB, right? FJB, right?
Amen.
Yeah, it's the unifying cause. Wokeism, it's a unifying cause. We're your enemies. The supremacy of the military, avid militarism. Well, that's obvious. Rampant sexism. Oh boy, got that in spades. A controlled mass media. Now you look at the right-wing media, and I understand that the right loves to criticize the left on their media, but the left continuously eats itself. They go after each other, and you have a wide variety of opinions. There is a vast difference between the opinions you'll see on CNN and the opinions that you will see on MSNBC, and then you get into independent media, and it gets even more. But not on the right. The right is unified. That is controlled by Donald Trump. If you criticize Donald Trump and you're on the right, you are done. If you criticize Joe Biden from the left, that's fine. Happens all the time. Jon Stewart's in a bunch of hot water for people thinking he was overly critical of Biden. Right, but he doesn't. I watch Majority Report all the time. They are very critical of Joe Biden. And then obsession with national security.
Oh, yeah.
This. If you said what are 7 ways you can identify a Republican, it would be these 7 things. That is MAGA. Stop telling us it's not fascism. And stop telling yourself it's not fascism. Just say you're a fascist, or if you're not a fascist, get the fuck out of the Republican Party. Because
you're othering and dehumanizing people, allowing them to be unalived, and by them I mean children, a child, and then you're saying, oh, it doesn't matter, look at me, I've dehumanized them in my mind, it's no big deal, I can just carry on with my day. And you're sitting here telling us to believe there's nothing wrong with that.
And look, the truth is, fascism never rises without a bunch of apathetic people around who allow it to happen.
Yeah, stand up.
Not many people have the courage to stand up and say, I am a fascist, right? But likewise, they rely on the lack of courage from people who are slightly aligned with them. They rely on their lack of courage. And that's why they continuously pit you against each other. Like that is the work of fascism. Is that not what Vladimir Putin is doing? Is that not what Vladimir Putin tries to do with every other country? Is pit them against each other? Is that not what he does in his country? Is that not what Xi does in China? I guess this is what it looks like when you have authoritarianism, when you have fascism. It looks a lot like MAGA.
Yeah, and listen, let's carry the fascist theme, right? You said sexism, rampant. Sexism, I believe, is what you said. And one of the scariest articles in the New York Times yesterday, it's number 27 on the articles. It is called I lost my place. It is called Trump allies plan new sweeping abortion restrictions. So this is his supporters are seeking. So Trump is behind the scenes saying he wants a national abortion ban, but barring if that's not possible, because like what Nick, you need 60 votes in the Senate. Can anyone get 60 votes in the Senate is the issue. So what they're doing is finding other ways, just with the mass deportation strategy that's so insane and fascist, othering people. Well, now that's what we're now doing to women. They're finding old laws on the books that will allow them to enact a national abortion ban, like barring 60 if they can't get 60 votes in the Senate. Like it's called exactly. Behind the scenes, my cat's screaming. I'm sorry.
I love it.
behind the scenes, but I'm gonna get. Let me just get.
It's fine. I'll cover for a second. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to hear that. Oh, hi, Kitty. Welcome back. It's good to have you.
Quiet. Anyways, so behind the scenes, the specific anti-abortion plans being proposed by Trump's allies are sweeping and legally sophisticated. So just like it's against the Constitution to have the military at the southern border, but Trump's looking for laws and ways and emergencies he can declare with which to do that. So some of their proposals would rely on enforcing the Comstock Act, a long dormant law from 1873 to criminalize the shipping of any materials used in abortion. So that would include the abortion pill, like the number one way that women get health care. That's what they're going to take away, which account for the majority of abortions in America. This is the way women are getting health care, right? Like, we're not talking about longer term medical in the hospital. He's talking about stopping in its tracks the majority of the ways that women right now are receiving health care. Imagine if they told men, you can't make healthcare decisions anymore about whether or not they get Viagra or whatever it is. Imagine if we told men, we're going in the doctor's office with you. That would never happen in America.
Yeah.
But this is where we're at now. That Donald Trump is planning ways to stop the abortion pill from being able to go through the mail.
It's terrific. That's really so awesome. Good job. You doing all the things that Americans are asking for, MAGA.
He's behind me. This is Mr. Mittens is a man.
Kind of a whiny man.
Yeah, he's
honest.
Very needy. He's a narcissist.
Well, that makes sense. I'm a little.
I created him like this. I answer when he calls. You know what I mean? Like if you let them scream and you don't come, eventually they stop screaming. The reason he screams is because the minute he makes a noise, I'm like, oh, hi. What do you need?
Yeah, I do that with my daughter too, and I have no plans to change that. Her mom can figure out. I'm just gonna do whatever she tells me. That's just sorry.
Oh, I bet you're the best dad.
Well, maybe I do what she asks.
Oh, I have some. We need to cheer up, okay? I have some. I mean, wait. This is not necessarily going to cheer. I should change it. You may laugh. You may give up. You just lay on the floor right now and cover your hands with your eyes. Yeah, I find it because it's so outrageous that you just at this point have to laugh. But you know what a group of people did yesterday for President's Day? Because this makes the most sense. Like to go hang out on the side of a highway in Florida and have a barbecue, near Mar-a-Lago on the side of a highway where
great place for a barbecue. Yeah.
Yes. Where they all, okay, and I learned yesterday from watching Real America's Voice interviewing these people, they do this is not just for President's Day. This is a grassroots club of people that meet near Trump properties on the side of highways and have barbecues.
Because you know why? Because you're not allowed at Trump properties.
Because he doesn't want anything to do with peasants.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait. Two of these ladies got in, and that's what they're talking about. So I just want you just prepare yourself. You're not going to believe this is real, but it is real. These are just know that these people are on the side of a highway. Now, wait, I got to explain something. One lady is blonde and she's wearing a shirt that has a feather boa attached as a collar. Okay.
I can fix her.
Yeah. I just can't. And the other lady has a Trump caucus captain white and gold hat on. Just, dear Lord Jesus, make it stop. That's a tough one. I'm sorry in advance for what you're about to.
I'm not good with captains.
So what brings you here today? Hi, my name is Susan, and I am here to support President Trump, our true president.
Joy, and I'm here to also support Trump and save our country.
So do you guys come to these events often? I know it's 100% grassroots organized. Yes, I come out every Thursday. We have a bunch of patriots that meet somewhere between West Palm and Boynton Beach to support our president and wave our flags proudly.
Yeah, there's flags everywhere.
This is only like the second event I've been to. But I was at Mar-a-Lago last weekend.
How was that?
Trumpet's event, as was Susan.
As was
so
Susan.
fabulous, and we were so happy to be there. Well, Trump is our people's president, and he has America behind him, and that is what
It's gonna get
is
worse.
killing the deep state. They don't
Oh,
like
it's killing
it.
us.
They know they're going down.
That's right.
He's
we do.
really the one that's done more for the Black American, the
Yeah.
Asian, the Hispanic community than any other president.
Yeah.
She said the Black American, the Asian, the Hispanic community.
Also, more than
Specifically.
any other president, just a quick reminder, Abraham Lincoln.
Like, in what world?
Yeah.
She's dead serious. Like,
The Asian, the Hispanic community than any other president, as well as the common man. And
Oh, the common man.
I truly love
yeah, so
Wait, hold
those
on.
groups, she named a bunch of groups that are not common men, apparently, is what we need to know about this woman. I'm not even, yes, and one Asian.
She meant the
did
whites.
say Asian.
She meant the whites. That's what she meant at the end.
Can you believe that? Oh, yes, and the common man, the people I consider people. Let me name the other
You know
groups.
you know who I'm talking about. You know. That's what she said.
Like,
The people that were at Mar-a-Lago, those types of people.
Yeah, the people who Trump said wanted to deport from the country during COVID were better off. You know what I mean? Like, is this lady dead serious? Now it's going to get worse. Okay, so that's these weird ladies whose goal is to try to have dinner at Mar-a-Lago.
I can fix them.
Yeah. Now this is like, if you ever wondered, like, why your crazy uncle, how he got indoctrinated into MAGA, like, this man is going to explain to you right now. This, I don't know. Either laugh or cry. It's your choice. I try to have a good attitude about it.
4 years ago, I started watching Real America's Voice. I'm a big sports guy, but I stopped watching sports completely because when sports went woke, I dropped them. And I used to watch Fox News up until about 4 years ago, and I dropped Fox. When Fox News couldn't say that Florida won for Trump, and they said Arizona was Biden or whatever they did. When they
I don't remember.
I knew that wasn't my channel, and I left Faux News back then. And I found Steve Bannon on War Room, and I was searching for answers. And I've been watching ever since. Raheem was on back then, and a couple of the other a couple of the other guys, but I've been religiously watching Real America's Voice, especially Steve Bannon. I try to get all 4 hours in, and if I can't watch all 4, I videotape it and watch it when I can. But the other thing was, well,
We are in a nightmare.
Colt, all of that.
These people are on the side of the road. They meet on the highway to barbecue and wave Trump flags so people will, every Thursday, so people will honk at them. In no way is any of this depressing, though.
When I was in a cult, it was often suggested by the local leaders that maybe on Sunday, a day set aside for rest and a day set aside to worship, that we should not be watching sports. And there's legitimately the good cult members in my cult did not watch sports on Sunday, and it was a big area of contention in my house. And I feel what this guy's saying. I wish that he could be from the outside and just recognize that what he said is he didn't like the answers he was getting. So he went around until he got the answers that he liked. And once he found those answers, he created a religious-like devotion to those people and left behind all the things that he used to enjoy doing so that he could rage watch Steve Bannon every day. Like, cult. That's a cult. You're in a cult, guy.
He literally said at every stop, right? Left media, too much truth. I had to move right. Right? He's like, Fox News, too much truth there. I did not like what I was hearing. I had to move right.
Yeah, when they called Arizona for Trump, turns out they were right.
They were they have the most sophisticated vote calling algorithms and stuff it, like, in the media. They know, even if they don't say they know.
I also don't know what he's talking about for Florida. That was called on election night.
I think he was talking about Bush v. Gore.
Yeah, he forgot.
Like, he was very confused. You know, there's many conspiracy theories they're exposed to, and it was like blurring together.
Trump won Florida pretty easily, and it was called on election night, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
He's lost. I think he did mean Arizona. He's just like, I'm angry about something. But that's what you're hearing. Until he fed Steve Bannon, that is giving him a steady diet of authoritarian, fear-mongering BS, where he said, this is my home. That is the descent. That man described his descent into an echo chamber.
And then their echo chamber, again, this is what cults do. In order for the cult to stay together and stay unified, what do you need to do? You need to have picnics, you need to have get-togethers where you all stand around and you out-crazy each other. And that's why, often, if you watch these types of interviews, often when there's two people in the interview, you know it's going to be more crazy. Which is the opposite of regular life. Regularly, like, you might watch what you say in front of somebody else, but with MAGA folks, it's about devotion and it's about, like, hyperbole. And so when you get two of them together, they're one-upping each other with what they say. Like, they'll show you all the steps of the cult when it's two people.
They got to prove their devotion to dear leader.
Yeah. And to each other. That's the like, you get this, you know what scrupulosity is, I assume, like when you adhere to the tenets of your cult or your religion, and it becomes your entire existence. Like, it in a weird way, it's almost like
these people on the side of the highway.
Yeah. Like, this is their existence now, and their worth to each other is how devoted they are to Donald Trump. When they say, like, oh, I've been to 50 rallies, and someone's like, shit, I've only been to 13, I better step it up. Like, they're way more devoted than me. I want to be as devoted as they are. So now they're going to 50 rallies. They're having their highway picnics.
It's so scary. Like, it's so... we meet every Thursday between Boynton Beach and Palm Beach and to wave our flags. Like, could somebody please... We need... Now we have a new capitalistic industry. We need deprogrammers. You know what I mean? If we really wanted to make some money, we should start a company where we teach people to deprogram cult members, and then we could be hired. We should have a reality show where we deprogram MAGA, Jay. Let's have a reality show.
I'm down.
We're trapped in a house with, like, a group of MAGAs, and we don't leave until we fix it.
I saw Tony in here earlier. How about Tony? You want to bankroll that idea? You want to bankroll that idea, Tony? We can put it on your favorite channel.
Is bankrolling our commune first.
That's right, okay. Commune first, but maybe we film at the commune.
Definitely. We're going to have a lot of projects going on at the commune.
We got 18 more minutes. Do we have anything?
Yeah, guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 300K. We have 18 minutes. We could do it. Yeah, I have many things I can talk about. I'm actually looking for a specific clip because I kind of want to play something funny. This has been kind of heavy today. It's hard. You know what I mean? Like, this is a lot. Oh, yeah, I found it. Okay. I never knew who this guy was. Like, maybe, I don't know if there's any, like, bigger CNN watchers. I watch CNN now, but mainly people that we know, like Caitlin Collins.
I don't need to fix her.
But there was a guy on CNN, just not as a host, but like just giving color and stuff. And his name is like Paul Begala, Begala. And this is like, they were all on this panel when they announced that Trump was like selling sneakers. And this guy, I don't know, like it was just like a freestyle, but I've just never heard someone so thoroughly like just go in on Trump. And he was just doing it offhanded, like just this random like older white gentleman. I'm trying to paint a picture who just he doesn't look like someone this would come out of.
This guy, Paul Begala, former chief strategist for a Clinton Gore campaign.
Okay, well, that explains a lot about how masterful this... Because I'm just like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And can he just, like, call me on the phone and drag Trump? Like, never... But that explains.
He was partners with James Carville.
He's a strategist. I love a political... I love James.
It was Carville and Begala. They worked together.
Well, now we get it. I love James Carville. Like, he's a genius. Sorry. I'm a political strategist. You want to talk to me about, like, if I'm a fan of people? Like, if you ever saw me, like, attack someone in the airport, yeah, it would be like James Carville or Simon Rosenberg. Like, it would be some very accomplished. Oh, Ron Filipkowski, I would tackle. Like,
yeah.
Like, those are the type of people that I fangirl about.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is so... I think this will make everyone have a better time.
No, I think it's interesting. He actually knows a lot about feet, because remember, he dodged service in Vietnam by falsely claiming that he had bone spurs in his feet.
Wait, I'm going to start it over. So he's saying, like, about the sneakers. Oh, yeah, this makes sense. He would go into the sneaker business because he knows a lot about feet. And then it's going to start dragging him for his bone spurs.
No, I think it's interesting. He actually knows a lot about feet, because remember, he dodged service in Vietnam by falsely claiming that he had bone spurs in his feet. So he's got very soft and delicate feet, and so I hope these shoes are wonderfully comfortable for Mr. Trump, because he's a very soft man. I thought it was interesting to come back to our previous segment that President Zelensky of Ukraine invited Mr. Trump to visit the front lines of a real war. Yeah, good luck with that. Don't hold your breath, Volodymyr. Mr. Trump, he heads for the tall grass when there's real service or action.
He said he heads for the tall grass when there's real service or action. Like, this guy is just off the cuff. Like, oh yeah, I hate Trump. I showed up here and I'm just going to say every messed up thing I can about him. Like, this guy is my new idol.
Mr. Trump to visit the front lines of a real war. Yeah, good luck with that. Don't hold your breath, Volodymyr. Mr. Trump, he heads for the tall grass when there's real service or action to be faced. I think, it's an unkind word. It's the word Trump hates the most. But you know what he is? He's a loser. His show was called The Apprentice. If he came back, if he did another show, it would have to be called Biggest Loser.
Biggest Loser.
He lost this really important case where he was found liable, sexually abusing and then defaming E. Jean Carroll. Lost that, and is going to lose $80-some-odd million for that. Now he's lost this civil trial in New York, where he's been found to be guilty of fraud. So the losses keep piling up, and he's turning to some of the most wonderful patriotic people in this country to hand him $5, $10, $20. It's really pathetic that he's such a big loser. He's supposed to be the richest guy in the world, and instead he's turning to some of the most hardworking people in America to bail him out. Or maybe John's right. Maybe it'll be some Arab sheik, or maybe a Russian or a Chinese billionaire. I hadn't thought about that, John, but it's a really frightening prospect
of who's going to bail Trump out. But isn't that guy, again, that's Paul Begala. Who is he? He worked on the...
he was the chief strategist for Clinton Gore campaign. And
so he's a big deal. He's a big deal.
Let me tell you a story that I from his Wikipedia that it tells this man is incredible. I also didn't know him, so I'm not brilliant. I just looked it up while we were talking. When he went to the University of Texas at Austin, and he ran for student government.
Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, he finished second due to a writing campaign for Hank the Hallucination, who was a character from the campus comic strip I-Beam. Following his loss, Begala wrote a tongue-in-cheek complaint for the Daily Texan, arguing, "I cannot help but feel Hank's platform is illusory at best. I must say that the candidate himself..."
Illusory.
Illusory. Is it illusory? I always thought it was illusory. Sorry, illusory. "I must say the candidate himself lacks substance." I like him.
I never heard such an artful, like, off the cuff. They're like, Paul, do you have any thoughts about Trump seekers? He's like, yes, I've been waiting to say something for my entire life about this.
Begala was eventually declared the winner following a ruling from the school that imaginary characters cannot hold the position. It's beautiful.
What a great guy. I'm going to have to watch for him because, yeah, very impressive. I need to follow him on Twitter. That's why I'm sure he's probably doing a lot, but yeah, that's the first time I've heard him. So you learn something new every day.
I think that's where we should end it today. I want to end on that note. Okay. I like that note. I'm sorry, we're cutting it 10 minutes early, but we got heavy, and I wanted to make sure we ended on a good note, and that was unless there's any other fun things you want to bring up.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I could find some if we want some, but yeah, like, that is a good note. Like, I have plenty more things, but I don't know if they're gonna be depressing or not. Like, there's a lot of depressing. Like, you know what I'm saying? It depends on how you look at it, really.
Felice is dead inside. She's never really sure what's depressing and what's not to others. She has just...
Laugh so you don't cry is my life motto.
get a cat and just pour everything you have.
This is
into that
really
cat.
helping me. Like, I'm finding myself more relaxed on this live because of this cat.
I think Cat should be here every live. I love Cat.
Me too, as long as he's quiet.
Well, he's not
Kitty.
quiet if he's outside. Hey, but
This is our co-host, me and my co-host, and Jay.
Mr. Mittens, do you have anything to say?
No, he's quiet now. He's chill. Whenever he gets what he wants, he's dead silent.
All right, well, guys, thank you. Let me double check on the gifts, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Thank you guys for sending gifts today. Very generous. We appreciate them. You can keep tapping that screen if you'd like. Did I miss Jason's? I might have missed Jason's. Let me see. Yeah, Jason sent a message. This is for Felice's lollipops and Jay's carpet cleaning bill.
Thank you. I just bought a new box, so thank you. That is a whole fund. I just bought. I never knew how much I liked blow pops, but I know something fun. Did you hear that George Santos is suing Jimmy Kimmel for making him do fake? They're not fake. If someone pays you for a service, like Jimmy Kimmel paid George Santos to do these cameos.
Yeah.
And they're just like random, like funny, weird things that he did. And George Santos like feels stupid because then Jimmy Kimmel played him on his show and like shamed him. And now he's suing him for like $750,000 for fraud.
Yeah, he's definitely going to win that one.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
If I was Santos, that's what I would do too, because you're about to pay a bunch of money, Mr. Santos. That's going to happen to you as well. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today, for participating, for sending comments, gifts, likes. Thank you for beating up on my nose. I always appreciate that. We're here every morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and occasionally I show up in the evening while Felice is doing all the real work in preparing the show. I show up and I try and troll some magas every once in a while. So thank you guys for the support, for the love, for the viewership. Felice?
This is our producer, Mr. Mittens. He likes to hold my finger. Thank you guys so much, and we will be back tomorrow.
See you guys.